Chapter 3482. Kill you. In Shijin's opinion, Zhuowen would definitely die if Wu Hari and the other 5 joined the fray, and he would be saved. Right now, he was both fearful and afraid of Zhuowen. Zhuowen's strength was beyond his imagination. It was too terrifying. He was really afraid that if this continued, he would really fall in Zhuowen's hands. Zhuowen's eyes were cold. He just glanced at Wu Hari and the others who were rushing over. Shijin, do you really think I can't kill you? Before they get here, I'll kill you. Zhuowen coldly laughed as a terrifying light exploded out from his body. Soon after, the light formed an enormous figure that seemed to connect the heavens and the earth in the air behind Zhuowen. This figure was simply too tall. It was simply too dazzling in the chaotic starry sky. Pangu's power, suppress. Zhuowen put his palms together and chanted. His right hand suddenly hit Shijin's body. Rumble. Pangu's shadow moved in the same way as Zhuowen. Its huge palm hit Shijin. Shijin's pupils shrank. He felt the shadow of death from Pangu's shadow. He knew that if this palm landed on his body, he might really die. Shijin started to burn his essence blood. He screamed and wanted to escape. Unfortunately, no matter how fast he was not as fast as Pangu's shadow. Rumble. Pangu's shadow finally hit Shijin, and a terrifying and dazzling light burst out. Then, Shijin screamed and his body was destroyed. However, as Shijin's body was destroyed, it reformed. His broken body was constantly repairing itself, and he quickly escaped from Pangu's shadow. Zhuowen's eyes were full of mockery. He hit Shijin again and destroyed his body. It had to be said that a third blight powerhouse was really difficult to kill. Their divine souls were much stronger than ordinary cultivators. As long as their divine souls were not destroyed, their body could quickly repair itself. Shijin's body was destroyed and reborn again and again. When Shijin's body was destroyed for the 7th time, Wu Hari and the others arrived. Brother Wu, save me. My divine soul is about to be destroyed. Shijin's eyes lit up with hope when he saw Wu Hari rushing over. His half-recovered body hurriedly moved towards Wu Hari. Wu Hari nodded and went straight to Shijin, intending to save him. But soon, Wu Hari's expression changed. Pangu's silhouette abruptly kicked Wu Hari's body. Wu Hari formed a fist with both hands and punched out. It exploded with a bright light, like a blazing sun, and its power was terrifying. Bang! Wu Hari's strength was extraordinary. The fist print that he blasted out actually caused the right foot of the Pangu shadow to completely stop. He let out a muffled groan and involuntarily retreated. Corpse gold. You should just die, no one can save you. Zhuowen's voice was like the might of the heavens. He unleashed another palm strike, and the corpse gold screamed as it was destroyed once again. This time, after Shijin's body was destroyed, it was no longer repaired. His divine soul had been annihilated and he had completely died. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they all sucked in a breath of air. They only felt that it was unbelievable. Corpse Gold had died just like that. This was a third blight powerhouse. Did Zhuowen have to be so powerful? How dare you kill Shijin? Wu Hari and the other 5 people stopped not far from where Shijin died. Their eyes bulged as they stared at Zhuowen. They were also deeply shocked. They really didn't expect Shijin to kill Zhuowen just like that. This was too unexpected. Haha, don't worry. I'm not only going to kill Shijin, but I'm also going to kill all of you. Zhuowen sneered as he looked at Wu Hari and the others. His eyes were full of mockery and murderous intent. You're really arrogant. How dare you threaten to kill all of us? You're simply courting death. Wu Hari was furious. He took a step forward and his body erupted with a terrifying golden light. He was like a sun that rose to the highest point in the sky, emitting a light that was difficult to look at. Pu Feihong from the Spacetime Beast clan, Brother Hao from the Dragon clan, Hu Guanyu from the Black Tiger clan, Feng Liutian from the Phoenix people, and Long Xing from the Mermaid clan followed closely behind. They all erupted with a terrifying aura. A total of 6 third blight powerhouses attacked at the same time. The aura that they condensed was too terrifying. It was as if they could crush everything around them. The surrounding space seemed to be collapsing. Arrogant. I'm a man of my word, Zhuowen sneered. With a wave of his sleeve, his original body that had been sitting in the great world flew out and merged with his avatar. Suddenly, Zhuowen's entire body emitted a blazing purple light. He began to operate the primordial chant. His entire body exuded a purple aura like a carefully carved purple jade. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, Wu Hari's group of 6 had already arrived in front of the Pangu shadow. They all erupted with their strongest attacks and bombarded the Pangu shadow. Thunderous booms could be heard without an end. The joint attack launched by the 6 of them was way too terrifying. A sky-shattering, earth-shattering power erupted from Pangu's silhouette. The Pangu shadow was constantly resisting, but it couldn't withstand this terrifying attack. After all, this was the joint attack of 6 third blight powerhouses. This attack was enough to instantly kill a third blight powerhouse like Shijin. Poochie. Pangu's silhouette was torn apart, and a large hole appeared in the chaotic starry sky where Pangu's silhouette was. It looked like a large black crack on a piece of cloth. This kid is dead for sure. Wu Hari and the others stopped not far away. When they saw the Pangu shadow being torn apart, they didn't continue to attack. In their opinion, under their joint attack, Zhuowen would be seriously injured at best, and at worst, he would directly die. Pangu's silhouette was collapsing, and Zhuowen's silhouette was blurry in the collapsing Pan-Jiu silhouette, seeming a bit hazy. I'll go in and take a look. Merman Long Xing's eyes flickered. Without waiting for Wu Hari and the others to agree, he rushed into the collapsing Pangu shadow. Wu Hari and the others frowned. Long Xing was so anxious. Clearly, it was because of Zhuowen's spirit ring. This kid's cultivation wasn't high, but he was so strong. He must have a big secret. Thinking of this, Wu Hari and the others quickly followed. They didn't want to fall behind Longxing. Longxing's speed was very fast. He took the lead and rushed to the place where the Pangu shadow was collapsing. At this moment, the Pangu shadow had completely collapsed. Longxing was the first to arrive. He immediately discovered the figure that was sitting cross-legged under the collapsing Pangu shadow, emitting purple light. This guy actually didn't die. Longxing was stunned. He stared at the figure below the Pangu shadow in disbelief. Chapter 3483. Terrifying strength. Damn it. Longxing's expression changed when he saw the approaching fist. He cursed under his breath and formed a seal with both hands. Behind him, a boundless wave of water appeared. The waves were too turbulent. With a terrifying aura, they rushed over and drowned Zhuowen in an instant. However, the wave didn't last for long. A purple light instantly dyed the wave a mysterious purple. The purple light became more and more intense. In the end, the wave was blasted away by the terrifying energy, revealing a terrifying phantom of a fist. Longxing's pupils shrank. He didn't expect his attack to be broken so easily. However, Longxing didn't panic. He blasted out another palm strike. At the same time, he retreated and planned to join Wu Hari and the others to kill Zhuowen together. Puff. But soon, Longxing realized in despair that when his palm strike touched Zhuowen's fist, which was spewing out purple light, it collapsed like a chicken and exploded into a cloud of blood mist. What kind of power is this? Longxing let out a blood-curdling scream. After his palm force was broken and his right palm exploded into a bloody mist, he sensed a very mysterious and powerful force coming from Zhuowen's fist force, following his arm and entering his body. Moreover, this power was very violent. It stirred up the wind and clouds in his body and wreaked havoc. What shocked him even more was that the Heaven's Way energy in his body couldn't contain this power. Instead, it was dispersed by this mysterious power. Bang! 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 Longxing's acupuncture points were bursting with blood mist. He kept retreating. When he took the last step, his body collapsed. What's wrong with this guy? How did he suddenly become so powerful? Wu Hari had just arrived when he saw Longxing's miserable state. Everyone was shocked. Although Zhuowen was powerful, he had been entangled with Shijin for a long time. In the end, he used Pangu's sacred aura to kill Shijin. But now, Zhuowen didn't use Pangu's sacred aura. Instead, he used a simple punch to break Longxing's body. The contrast between before and after was too great. Be careful. This person has a very strange power. Once you come into contact with it, your meridians and flesh will immediately collapse. Even if you use all your Heaven's Way energy, it's difficult to stop this power from invading. Not far away, Longxing's body was gradually recovering. His face was very pale and bloodless. At this moment, he was glaring fiercely at Zhuowen. In addition to hatred, there was also a trace of fear. Zhuowen glanced at Longxing. He already knew that third blight cultivators weren't so easy to kill. He had to kill them a few more times before he could completely destroy the third blight cultivator's body and soul. This was the advantage of third blight cultivators. Their bodies and souls were connected, and they complemented each other. This kid is a bit strange. His aura isn't strong. His cultivation must be lower than ours, but I can't sense his specific cultivation, Wu Hari said with a solemn look. The combat power Zhuowen displayed just now made him start to take him seriously. He knew that Zhuowen's strength was probably above the information they received. Let's attack together. This kid must have a big secret. If we fight him alone, I'm afraid it won't be easy to take him down, Pu Feihong of the Spacetime Beast race said coldly. The spacetime around him was distorted and emitted powerful spacetime power. He was more and more certain that Zhuowen had a great treasure on him. His eyes were full of greed. He couldn't wait to take down Zhuowen. Wu Hari and the others had the same thought. Now, they were looking at Zhuowen as if they were looking at a huge treasure. They knew how strong Zhuowen was, but they were also confident in themselves. The 6 of them combined were enough to take down Zhuowen. Brother Pu is right. Let's attack together. Let's take him down quickly and stop dilly-dallying. Wu Hari was the first to agree. The other 4 experts also agreed. They didn't want to delay and hoped to take down Zhuowen as soon as possible. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. In an instant, Wu Hari and the others no longer hesitated. They rushed toward Zhuowen and completely surrounded Zhuowen. Longxing, who had his body destroyed by Zhuowen's punch, didn't want to be outdone. He quickly adjusted his state and followed closely behind. However, Longxing didn't dare to take the lead anymore. He had suffered a great loss just now, so he was much more cautious now. Wu Hari was like a sun. His body was emitting a dazzling golden light. When he punched out, it was as if countless stars had exploded. Boom! Wu Hari attacked with his full strength. The golden light exploded and the surrounding space exploded. The momentum was terrifying. Zhuowen didn't fight Wu Hari head-on. Instead, he used the primordial chant. Purple light flickered around his body and he dodged Wu Hari's attack like a bolt of purple lightning. The primordial chant was a comprehensive cultivation technique. Not only was it a cultivation technique, but it also included attack, defense, movement, and many other comprehensive cultivation techniques. As for the primordial grand mist technique that he had created himself, it naturally continued the characteristics of the primordial grand mist technique. It was a top-notch cultivation technique that was comprehensive and comprehensive. Moreover, it was a peerless cultivation technique that transcended this universe. The Spacetime Beast races Pu Feihong, the Dragon races Long Haoge, the Black Tiger races Hu Guanyu, and the Phoenix people's Feng Lutian also attacked. Their attacks were extremely terrifying. However, Zhuowen dodged all these attacks. His charge didn't slow down. His target was the cowering Longxing who was at the back. F***ck, Longxing saw that Zhuowen didn't fight Wu Hari and the others head-on. Instead, he went straight for him. He couldn't help but curse inwardly. He wanted to retreat without thinking. He was really scared by Zhuowen. Longxing retreated quickly, but Zhuowen was even faster. He was as fast as lightning, and in an instant, he appeared in front of Longxing. You can't escape. Today, I, Zhuowen, want to kill. Shijin will be the first, and you will be the second. Don't be too hasty, one at a time, Zhuowen said as he punched out. Purple light filled the sky. Longxing's face was gloomy. Zhuowen's speed was so fast that it shocked him. He could actually break through the encirclement of Wu Hari and the others in an instant and rush out to kill him. Long Xing was helpless. He knew that he had to stop Zhuowen now. Poochie. Unfortunately, Long Xing's defense was like a chicken or a dog in Zhuowen's eyes. It couldn't withstand a single blow. He punched Long Xing again and smashed him into pieces. Blood mist spurted out. After Long Xing was smashed into pieces, the blood mist escaped in an instant and reformed his body hundreds of billions of miles away. However, Zhuowen's speed was too fast. Not long after he escaped, Zhuowen had already closed in and punched him again. Chapter 3484. The situation is over, damn it. How can this guy be so fast? Wu Hari and the other four chased after Zhuowen, but they could not catch up no matter how hard they tried. They could only watch as Long Xing was beaten up again and again until he finally died. Zhuowen slowly turned around and his gaze fell on the Phoenix people, Feng Liutian. His gaze was so sharp that Feng Liutian did not dare to look straight at it. At the same time, he felt his hair stand on end. With Shi Jin and Long Xing as examples, Feng Liutian was a little afraid of Zhuowen. He was afraid that Zhuowen would target him and kill him too. He knew very well that with Zhuowen's speed, the five of them working together would be useless. This was because they could not effectively form an encirclement to contain Zhuowen. Phoenix people, Feng Liutian, it's your turn now. After Zhuowen said that, he pounced on Feng Liutian. He was so fast that one could only see a purple shadow flashing by in the starry sky. It was impossible to see his figure clearly. Feng Liutian's hair stood on end. Without thinking, he began to retreat. Everyone, move closer to Feng Liutian. Wu Hari's expression was ugly. The moment Zhuowen swept out, he shouted and took the lead to charge at Feng Liutian. However, before they could get close to Feng Liutian, they saw a purple shadow flash past Feng Liutian's side. Then, Feng Liutian screamed and collapsed into a cloud of blood mist. By the time they were completely close to Feng Liutian, he had already been blown up 3 times. At that moment, he was struggling to reform his body. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Let's surround Feng Liutian. We must find a chance to capture Zhuowen. Otherwise, we'll all be in danger today. Wu Hari's eyes were solemn. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead as he shouted. Wu Hari did not expect that the encirclement, which he thought was a sure win, would end up in such a situation. They were actually in such a passive position. Suddenly, Long Hauge, who was guarding Feng Liutian's left, let out a blood-curdling shriek. Blood sprayed out from his body as he was smashed into smithereens by a purple fist. Next was Hu Guanyu of the Black Tiger race and Pu Feihong of the Spacetime Beast race. Wu Hari's divine sense was the sharpest, and his strength was also the strongest among them. However, the moment Zhuowen's purple shadow appeared in front of him, a terrifying golden light erupted from his body and dispersed, forming a terrifying golden rain. This golden rain was very powerful and was enough to seriously injure a third blight cultivator. In this golden rain, Zhuowen's figure could not help but stagnate for a moment, and Wu Hari immediately found a flaw. "I've found you. Die." Wu Hari's eyes turned crimson. He immediately took out a golden ring and smashed it at Zhuowen. The ring shone with golden light. It was quite extraordinary, and the divine splendor it emitted illuminated the heavens. It was clear that it was a terrifying half-step heaven-breaking grade divine artifact. The third level of the Yama demon diagram, Parade of 100 Ghosts, open. Zhuowen was very calm. He immediately took out the Yama demon diagram and opened the last level. This was the ultimate move of the Yama demon diagram, and it could only be used once in a lifetime. Once the third level was completely opened, the Yama demon diagram would unleash the power of a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine artifact. It would form a domain of 100 ghosts and completely suppress the opponent. In the third level of the Yama demon diagram, there were countless evil ghosts. They instantly rushed out of the diagram and let out ferocious and evil howls. They blocked the golden ring and formed a pitch-black domain that enveloped Wu Hari and the others. In this domain, Wu Hari and the others' vision and divine sense were completely interfered with by the ghosts. However, Zhuowen's divine sense was not affected at all. Zhuowen immediately locked onto Feng Liutian, who had just condensed his body, and gave him a punch without hesitation. Poor Feng Liutian, who had just condensed his body, was once again destroyed. He let out a mournful cry. Wu Hari and the others' divine senses were interfered with. Although they could hear Feng Liutian's mournful cry, they could not tell the specific direction. "Let's work together and completely shatter this domain," Wu Hari shouted loudly. He took out the golden ring and continuously bombarded the domain of the Yama demon diagram. Although countless evil ghosts were annihilated like leaves being swept away by the autumn wind, there were too many evil ghosts in the Yama demon diagram. They seemed to be endless, and it was impossible to completely destroy them in a short period of time. In the domain, Feng Liutian's tragic cries that sounded like a pig being slaughtered could be heard from time to time. Feng Liutian was indeed very miserable. He had just condensed his body, but he was immediately destroyed by Zhuowen. This repeated until he let out a final mournful cry and shouted, "Goddamn Zhuowen, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost." Then, there was no more sound. He had completely fallen. Crack. The moment Feng Liutian was completely destroyed, the domain of the Yama demon diagram was finally completely shattered. Wu Hari, Long Haoge, and Hu Guanyu finally rushed out of the shattered domain of the Yama demon diagram. Feng Liutian, after the domain of the Yama demon diagram was shattered, their divine instincts immediately became clear. They immediately realized that Feng Liutian's aura had disappeared. They knew that Feng Liutian had probably been destroyed and had completely fallen. Sigh. My most precious divine weapon was destroyed by you guys. Shouldn't you guys compensate me? At that moment, Zhuowen's lazy voice sounded. It immediately caused Wu Hari and the other two's hair to stand on end. They could not help but retreat by a large distance. They looked at Zhuowen, who came out with the broken Yama demon diagram in fear. Zhuowen looked at the broken Yama demon diagram and sighed in his heart. The Yama demon diagram was very powerful. Although it was only a peak ascending heaven-level divine weapon, it could unleash the power of a half-step heaven-piercing divine weapon. The power of the Yama demon diagram did not disappoint him. However, it could only be used once. After that, the divine weapon would be completely destroyed and could not be used again. Brother Zhuo, this has nothing to do with the Black Tiger tribe. It was the sorcerer tribe who gathered us to surround and annihilate you. I'll take my leave first. Hu Guanyu cupped his fists at Zhuowen from afar and ran away without saying a word. He ran very quickly and did not hesitate at all. Our dragon tribe is also a victim. We were bewitched by the sorcerer tribe. I hope that Brother Zhuo can see through everything. Long Haoge only said this sentence. Without even saying goodbye, he fled in another direction. You guys, Wu Hari was flustered and exasperated. He was just about to berate Long Haoge and Hu Guanyu. Unfortunately, the two had already run away. How could they hear Wu Hari's curses? Zhuowen did not chase after Long Haoge and Hu Guanyu. He would settle the grudges between the two in the future. Right now, he was not in a hurry. Wu Taiji, this old fogey, his methods are not small. He actually found out my whereabouts in advance and ambushed me here. Tell me, what method did that old fogey use? Zhuowen rubbed his right hand and looked at Wu Hari indifferently. His powerful aura had already locked onto Wu Hari. Cold sweat had already appeared on Wu Hari's forehead. He was very clear that his speed could not compare to Zhuowen's. Running away now was useless, and would only make him more passive. Zhuowen, you are indeed strong, but compared to my Wu Lu, you are still an ant. If you let me go, I will plead for you to the Tower Lord. Wu Hari calmed down and planned to raise conditions with Zhuowen. You want to raise conditions with me? You don't have the qualifications now. Zhuowen sneered, took a step forward, and rushed towards Wu Hari. Chapter 3485. Leave. Purple divine light erupted from Wu Hari's body as Zhuowen drew closer and closer. Wu Hari's pupils contracted involuntarily as he gripped the golden bracelet in his hand tightly and hurled it through the air. In the instant that he hurled the golden bracelet, he immediately retreated at an extremely fast speed. He was actually planning to flee. Zhuowen's expression was calm as he looked at the golden bracelet that was drawing closer and closer. Purple energy soared into the sky as he abruptly launched a fist. After fusing with his clone, his strength had increased exponentially, and he even dared to take on a half-step heaven-crushing divine tool head-on. Boom! In the instant that the purple fist crashed into the golden bracelet, purple and golden light intertwined and exploded into a scorching purplish golden light. Then, the purplish golden light became more and more intense. In the end, the golden bracelet was knocked flying, and the light on the surface of the golden bracelet gradually dimmed. In the distance, Wu Hari's pupils contracted when he saw that the golden bracelet was knocked flying by a single fist. He finally understood just how terrifying Zhuowen was. He let loose a shrill cry, and he didn't hesitate any longer as he summoned his flying divine tool and began to flee frantically. "You won't get away." Zhuowen's expression was cold as he stepped forward. Terrifying ripples appeared in the space around him, and Zhuowen disappeared on the spot as if he had evaporated into thin air. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Zhuowen appeared above the fleeing Wu Hari, and his fist came crashing down. The terrifying fist was like a small scorching sun, and it erupted with extremely dazzling light. Wu Hari cursed in his heart as a terrifying golden light erupted from his body. His body instantly grew by several hundred feet, and he was like an immovable deity Buddha statue. Splat! However, when Wu Hari raised his fist to meet the descending fist, he felt a burst of extremely fierce and domineering mysterious power pour down from above. The mysterious power drilled into his hands, and it actually caused his hands to explode. Moreover, this mysterious power was like a rainbow piercing through the sun. It traveled along the meridians in his arms and spread throughout his entire body, and it actually began to incessantly destroy the structures and meridians in the depths of his body. What power is this? Wu Hari was directly sent flying, his entire body exploding into a bloody mist. The power of the godly Shatterer force flew through his body at an extremely fast speed, constantly shattering his life force and meridians. By the time Wu Hari managed to stabilize his body, his entire body was extremely weak. Blood mist continued to erupt from his body. Bastard Zhuowen, I really underestimated your strength. But so what if you're strong? You're just a loner. You'll die a horrible death sooner or later if you offend the Wu Tower. Wu Hari roared. He began to burn his essence blood, intending to go all out. Unfortunately, as soon as he said this, as soon as his blood essence started to burn, a foot suddenly stomped on his face, ruthlessly stomping on him. Zhuowen stepped on Wu Hari. His eyes were cold and cruel as he said indifferently, "If you care so much about me, why don't you care about your own life and death? The Wizard Tower has provoked me time and time again. I, Zhuowen, will naturally not let the Wizard Tower go. Sooner or later, I will destroy the entire Wizard Tower by myself." Zhuowen's voice was cold as he stepped on Wu Hari. Then, he exerted force with his right foot and shattered divine power surged into Wu Hari's head. His head exploded, followed by his body. Wu Hari's strength was indeed extraordinary. After his body exploded, blood mist instantly swept out. He reformed his body and burned his essence blood again. However, this time, he was no longer going all out by burning his essence blood. Instead, he was fleeing in a sorry state. However, even though Wu Hari was burning his essence blood, his speed was far from Zhuowen's. Soon, Zhuowen caught up with him. Then, Zhuowen threw out punch after punch, directly smashing Wu Hari's body into pieces. Wu Hari saw that he couldn't escape. After reforming his body, he started to fight with his life on the line. However, Wu Hari was in an even worse state. Under Zhuowen's punches, he couldn't withstand more than a few moves before collapsing. Finally, Wu Hari was beaten to the point where he couldn't reform his body anymore. His spiritual soul had already collapsed. Zhuowen casually threw Wu Hari's incomplete body to the side. His eyes were like torches as he looked at the stunned onlookers. When everyone met Zhuowen's gaze, they all lowered their heads. They didn't dare to look at Zhuowen. What happened just now was simply too shocking. 7 Third Blight powerhouses joined forces to encircle and annihilate him. Not only did they not succeed, but 5 of them were also killed by Zhuowen. 2 of them even escaped. No one had expected such an outcome from the start. Zhuowen frowned slightly. He glanced at the nightmare abyss in front of him. His eyes flickered, but in the end, he didn't enter the nightmare abyss. He was very clear about his current strength. The mid-stage Pangu sacred body was comparable to a peak third blight powerhouse. When his original body and avatar merged into one, his strength could barely defeat a peak third blight powerhouse. Coupled with the broken divine power, Zhuowen could easily kill Wu Hari and the other third blight powerhouses. This was because among the 7 cultivators who surrounded Zhuowen, only Wu Hari was the strongest. However, he was only at the late stage of the third blight. The rest were either at the early stage or mid-stage of the third blight. If there was a 4th blight powerhouse in this encirclement, Zhuowen knew that he wouldn't be a match for them. He could only retreat. Moreover, he knew that if this matter was spread to the Tower of Witches, the Tower Master of the Tower of Witches would probably take action. Unless his avatar's Pangu sacred body could be upgraded to perfection, or his original body's cultivation could be further improved, he wouldn't be a match for the Tower Master of the Tower of Witches even if he obtained the ancestral voodoo GU worms from the Nightmare Abyss. After all, if he wanted to perfect his Pangu sacred body, he had to combine the 12 ancestral voodoo GU worms. The ones in the Nightmare Abyss were the Swizz GU worms. He still lacked the Emperor River GU worm. Let's leave the heaven-accessing secret realm first. Zhuowen finally decided to leave the heaven-accessing secret realm first. He hadn't found the whereabouts of Mu Chunxue and the 6 divine medicines needed to cure Moyan Wushang's 6 desires spirit condensing pill. He still lacked the divine medicine of Hua Qianyu of the 3 realms. He still needed to go to the elixir array Dao domain to find Hua Qianyu of the 3 realms and get the elixir recipe of the 6 desires spirit condensing pill. He learned about the 6 desires spirit condensing pill from the True Elixir Array record. However, the elixir recipe of the 6 desires spirit condensing pill recorded in the True Elixir Array record was incomplete. It only listed the 6 divine medicines needed to refine the 6 desires spirit condensing pill. As for the specific refining method, it didn't record it. Zhuowen had studied the True Elixir Array record for so long. He also found that the True Elixir Array record in his hands was incomplete. He vaguely guessed that the complete True Elixir Array record must have been left in the Elixir Array Dao domain. If he could get the complete True Elixir Array record, he would be able to get the inheritance of the real Elixir Array Immortal Master. At that time, his Elixir Array level would be further improved. It was because of these concerns that Zhuowen didn't want to stay in the heaven-accessing secret realm for too long. After all, he didn't enter the heaven-accessing secret realm willingly. He was forced to do so by Bing Hui. Chapter 3486. Saintess of the Monster Realm. He did not plan to stay on Sanqing Street for long, nor did he plan to greet them. He went straight to the entrance of the heaven-accessing place. At this moment, there were 2 experts at the peak of the heaven-reaching realm guarding the entrance of the heaven-accessing place. They were arranged by Wu Taiji. "Stop. Let us see your pass token." When Zhuowen arrived at the entrance, the 2 outsiders immediately stopped Zhuowen, their eyes unfriendly as they demanded the entry token from Zhuowen. "Sorry, I lost it," Zhuowen said flatly. His name was engraved on the pass token, so he could not take it out. Once he took it out, he would be exposed. "Lost it? Then don't even think about getting out," one of the experts snorted. Zhuowen narrowed his eyes, and a purple light shot out from between his eyebrows and blasted into the 2 experts' foreheads. The 2 experts suddenly became muddle-headed, and Zhuowen easily left the entrance. Right now, Zhuowen's soul was simply too powerful. An ordinary soul attack was enough to directly kill these 2 foreign race experts. However, Zhuowen did not have the tendency to kill innocent people, so he just let them be muddle-headed for a while. After a while, the 2 experts woke up. They were shocked and realized that something was wrong. "There is something wrong with that human cultivator. We must report to the Tower Master." The 2 experts thought of the seriousness of the matter and quickly took out their communication jade tokens to inform Wu Taiji, the Tower Master of the Wu Tower. Very quickly, an extremely imposing figure appeared in the desolate street. When the two foreign race experts saw the figure, their bodies trembled. They hurriedly lowered their heads and said respectfully, "Greetings, second house master." This figure was Wu Yangshuo, the second tower master of the Wu Tower. He was the second strongest expert in the Wu Tower, and his strength was second only to Wu Taiji. At this moment, Wu Yangshuo's eyes were full of killing intent. He said coldly, "Is this the human you saw just now?" Then, Wu Yangshuo waved his sleeve, and the image of Zhuowen disguised as a rogue cultivator appeared in the sky. When the two outsiders saw this image, their bodies trembled and they hurriedly knelt down to apologize. "Two pieces of trash, you can't even stop me. What use do I have for you?" Wu Yangshuo scoffed coldly, and the two foreign race experts who were kneeling on the ground screamed and exploded into two balls of blood mist. After killing the two foreign race experts, Wu Yangshuo planned to chase after Zhuowen, but he was stopped by a terrifying force. Wu Yangshuo continuously retreated, his eyes coldly looking at the huge black shadow in front of him. This was an incomparably huge black iron lion. At this moment, its lantern-sized eyes were staring deadly at Wu Yangshuo. "Black King? What do you mean by that? How dare you block me?" Wu Yangshuo's eyes were cold as he said in exasperation. The Black King grinned and said, "Wu Yangshuo, you shameless old man, do you have any shame? You actually attacked a junior, how shameful." "Zhuowen killed many experts of my Wu Lu. I'm just paying with blood. Black King, if you get out of my way now, I won't blame you. Otherwise, I'll attack you. Don't blame me for being merciless," Wu Yangshuo threatened. The Black King yawned and said indifferently, "I'm so scared. Your strength is only on par with mine. You can do whatever you want to me. I'll take it." Wu Yangshuo was so angry that his shoulders trembled, but he did not attack. As the Black King said, his strength was indeed on par with the Black King. If they fought, it would be difficult to determine the winner in a short time. The Black King had made up his mind to block him, and he really could not free himself to chase after Zhuowen. "Black King, I, Wu Yangshuo, and the Wu Lu will remember what happened today. However, you can't protect Zhuowen for long. Even if Zhuowen leaves the heaven accessing place, so what? Unless he never enters the heaven accessing place." After saying this, the Black King returned to the chaotic street. He knew that with the Black King here, he could not leave the heaven accessing place today. He had to go back to the Wu Lu and discuss this with Wu Taiji. "What? The Black King stopped you? Was it the three pure ones who ordered him to do so?" In the Wu Lu, Wu Taiji slammed the table when he heard Wu Yangshuo's news. His eyes were gloomy. "Tower Master, with the three pure ones helping Zhuowen, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to take down Zhuowen." Wu Yangshuo frowned and said. Wu Taiji's eyes were gloomy. He took out a blue talisman and said, "It seems that we can only ask Lord Bing Hui for help. Recently, he has been sending me messages frequently, asking me to quickly eliminate Zhuowen. Now that the three pure ones have openly disobeyed Lord Bing Hui's orders, he's courting death. I have to report this to Lord Bing Hui." Wu Yangshuo's eyes brightened. He knew how terrifying Bing Hui was. He was an almighty from the outer regions. As long as this almighty interfered, the three pure ones would not dare to act recklessly. After all, Bing Hui was a heaven-breaking realm elite. Even if he cut off his cultivation and fell to the fifth blight, his strength was still stronger than the three pure ones and Wu Taiji. It could be said that Bing Hui was an invincible existence in the lower world. No one could go against him. Soon, the blue talisman lit up. Wu Taiji had obviously received a reply. "Tower Master, what did Lord Bing Hui say?" Wu Yangshuo asked curiously. "Lord Bing Hui has been in seclusion for a while and has no time to come to the lower world. He told us not to act rashly during this period of time. Once he comes out of seclusion, he'll descend to the starry sky of the lower worlds again. At that time, not only Zhuowen, but even the three pure ones will suffer," Wu Taiji sneered. Wu Yangshuo's eyes brightened. He did not expect someone like Bing Hui to come to the lower world again. At that time, the three pure ones and Zhuowen would be finished. After Zhuoan left the heaven accessing place, he left quickly and spread his divine thought to the limit, guarding against anyone who would chase after him. However, to his surprise, there was no one chasing after him. Hey! Have the people in the Wu Tower changed? Why didn't they send anyone to chase after me? Zhuoan muttered to himself. He could not figure it out. However, he did not think about it anymore. Instead, he quickly left and flew toward the Xian-Mi heavenly territory. At this moment, he only wanted to go to the old site of the heavenly armor star in the 8 heavenly territories. He wanted to find traces of Mu Chunxue there. He learned from Grand Elder Mu Yu's memory that Mu Chunxue had mysteriously disappeared at the old site of the heavenly armor star. Moreover, the old site of the heavenly armor star was near the demon realm. If he did not find traces of Mu Chunxue there, he planned to go directly to the demon realm to find the new saintess of the demon realm. The saintess of the demon realm looked so much like Mu Chunxue that he wondered if they were the same person. Chapter 3487. Terrifying purple Hanzhuowen's original body sat on the space-time wheel's deck, breathing heavily as purple light flickered around his body. He had placed his clone in the great world. He knew very well that his original body's potential was limitless after fusing with the primordial stone, far surpassing his clone. As such, he placed most of his energy on the cultivation of his original body. He wanted to raise his original body's cultivation level as soon as possible. The energy level of the lower realm is indeed too low. The energy of the heavenly Tao can't satisfy my cultivation level at all. Zhuoan slowly opened his eyes as a bitter smile appeared on his lips. His original body possessed the power of the shattered god in advance, but at the same time, it also meant that the requirements for the energy he absorbed were much more stringent. His original body's cultivation level should be at the early stage of the first blight, but Zhuoan had a feeling that he could break through to the mid-stage of the first blight at any time now. His comprehension ability was simply too terrifying. There were no bottlenecks for him in all the realms below the heaven-crushing stage. There's still some distance to the star battlefield. I'll use the chaos crystal to break through during this period of time, Zhuoan muttered to himself as he took out the 1/3 of the chaos crystal from the great world and began to frantically absorb the chaotic energy within the chaos crystal. When Zhuoan arrived near the star battlefield, 1/3 of the chaos crystal in his hand had been used up, and he had successfully broken through to the mid-stage of the first blight. Hey! There's a huge battle in the star battlefield. Zhuoan put away the remaining 1/3 of the chaos crystal and quickly sensed the terrifying ripples of battle from afar. He followed the direction of the ripples and quickly approached. Soon, he discovered that the human race's star battlefield was in a mess at this moment. Many human race cultivators were being slaughtered by foreign race cultivators. Cries, screams, and cries converged into one. At the same time, Zhuoan also saw the remaining 2 Pathmasters, LV Yeliang and Mai Zian, in the star battlefield. They were being attacked by 4 foreign race cultivators and were in a sorry state. They were covered in blood and their faces were pale. The cultivation of these 4 alien race experts was no weaker than LV Yeliang and Mai Zian. They were all mid-stage transcending heaven lords. In addition, there were 2 outsiders who were riding on prehistoric beasts. They hovered above the army, looking down coldly at everything that was happening. Mai Zian and LV Yeliang's eyes revealed grief and indignation. They were unwilling to die just like that. Moreover, the astral battlefield was about to fall. They were very clear that once the star battlefield completely fell, more than half of Xian-Mi heavenly region would be invaded by foreign race experts, and they would become sinners for all eternity. Damn it! If Brother Tan and Brother Yarrow hadn't died, our Star Wars battlefield wouldn't have fallen. I can't accept this. Mai Zian roared and began to burn his blood essence. LV Yeliang sighed softly and prepared to burn his essence blood. He knew very well that the Star Wars battlefield had fallen. Moreover, the outsiders had sent 4 mid-stage heaven-piercing lords and 3 late-stage heaven-piercing lords. Coupled with the fact that the alien army outnumbered the human race, all the human race cultivators on the Star Wars battlefield would be finished. There was no chance of survival. They had no choice but to fight with their lives. You want to burn your essence blood? Haha, don't even think about it. The two of you should just die. The three late-stage heaven-piercing lords standing on the beasts sneered when they saw LV Yelyang and Mai Zian burn their essence blood. One of the alien race experts rushed out and attacked LV Yelyang and Mai Zian, suppressing them. There was a huge gap between mid-stage heaven-piercing lords and late-stage heaven-piercing lords. Although LV Yelyang and Mai Zian burned their essence blood, they were still no match for this late-stage heaven-piercing lord. LV Yelyang and Mai Zian both spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew backward. Their bones were broken, and they couldn't move. Destroy them. The late-stage heaven-piercing lord only made one move and then stopped attacking. Instead, he leaped back onto the beast's back and looked down arrogantly at LV Yelyang and Mai Zian, who were still vomiting blood and flying backward. In his eyes, the two were already dead. He looked down on them, his eyes full of disdain and arrogance. The eyes of the four middle heaven-piercing realm foreign race experts shone with a bloodthirsty light when they received the order. Without hesitation, they charged toward LV Yelyang and Mai Zian. Haha, Lord Suto is still the best. He subdued these two in one move. We can't let them down this time. We must kill them all. One of the four mid-stage heaven-piercing lords laughed proudly. He was the most proactive of the four and was the first to approach LV Yelyang and Mai Zian. However, the moment he got close to LV Yelyang and Mai Zian, he was slapped into a bloody mist by a giant purple hand before he could even make a sound. The other three foreign race experts who had been following closely behind were all dumbfounded when they saw the strange death of the foreign race expert at the front of the group. However, they were only stunned for a moment before the giant purple hand came whistling over and slapped out again. The three foreign race experts were slapped into a fine powder by the giant purple hand. The three late-stage heaven-piercing lords standing on the beasts' backs felt their hair stand on end. A chill ran from the soles of their feet to their Tianling acupoints, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. The deaths of the four mid-stage heaven-piercing lords were too strange. They didn't even notice where the giant purple hand came from, and the four mid-stage heaven-piercing lords were slapped into a fine powder. Poochie. Suddenly, the beasts under their feet were blasted into a bloody mist. The beasts let out a blood-curdling scream as their battered bodies fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. The three late-stage heaven-piercing lords scattered in all directions in fear. They spread out their divine senses in an attempt to find the owner of the giant purple hand. Poochie, Poochie, Poochie. However, as soon as they released their divine senses, the giant purple hand mysteriously appeared behind them and slammed into them, blasting them into a bloody mist. At this moment, the star battlefield was completely silent. Whether it was the defeated human cultivators or the foreign race cultivators who were slaughtering the human cultivators, they all stopped what they were doing and stared at the scene in disbelief. The three late-stage Empyrean lords had been the ones in charge of the alien army, but now, they'd been wiped out in an instant. This sent chills down the spines of the alien army. Bang! 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 While everyone was dumbfounded, the giant purple hand didn't stop. It continued to slam into the foreign race army. Instantly, a terrifying energy spread out in all directions. 1/10 of the outsiders' army was directly annihilated into nothingness. Hiss! LV Yelyang and Mai Zian, who had just escaped death, didn't even know what was going on. They couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air when they saw that 1/10 of the alien army had been destroyed. Chapter 3488. Zhu Wenlin Bang! 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 After annihilating 1/10 of the alien army, the giant purple hand swept across like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Most of the alien army on the battlefield of the stars were blown to smithereens. Run! A horrifying expert has come and is targeting us. If we don't run now, we'll die here. The remaining alien army had already lost their morale and began to flee in all directions. However, these fleeing alien race practitioners were blown to smithereens by a powerful killing formation when they escaped from the battlefield of the stars. When did this killing formation appear? The formation of the battlefield of the stars should have been destroyed by the alien race expert. LV Yelyang and Mai Xian's eyes were full of surprise. They did not expect a killing formation to exist on the battlefield of the stars. Moreover, this killing formation was much more powerful than their original formation of the battlefield of the stars. It was not the original formation of the battlefield of the stars at all. Soon, the two of them thought of the mysterious expert who had attacked them. This killing formation that had suddenly appeared must have been set up by that mysterious expert. The human army realized that this was a rare opportunity, so they all rushed out and started wiping out the defeated non-humankind army. In a short while, the alien army was basically wiped out by the human clan army. Cheers broke out on the battlefield of the stars. The surviving human clan practitioners were full of joy after being reborn. They had thought that they were doomed. They did not expect to be rescued from the jaws of death. Senior, thank you for saving our lives. LV Yelyang and Mai Xian were the most alert. They quickly knelt on the ground and bowed toward the depths of the stars. The surviving human clan practitioners on the battlefield of the stars also reacted. They followed LV Yelyang and Mai Xian and bowed toward the depths of the stars. A purple light slowly descended from the depths of the stars and landed in front of LV Yelyang and Mai Xian. He smiled faintly and said, Sect Master LV, Sect Master Mai, long time no see. LV Yelyang and Mai Xian raised their heads and looked at Zhuowen. Their pupils shrank as if they had seen a ghost. What's wrong? You're surprised to see me, Zhuowen said with a smile. Zhuowen did not disguise himself after he left the heaven accessing place. Instead, he showed up in his original appearance. Therefore, LV Yelyang and Mai Xian recognized him at a glance. The two of them were very surprised. They had always thought that Zhuowen had fallen. However, he did not expect to see Zhuowen in person. However, the two of them quickly regained their senses. They lowered their heads and expressed their gratitude to Zhuowen. Thank you for your help this time, Senior Zhuowen. Otherwise, our star battlefield would have been in danger. The two of them were no fools. They already knew that the mysterious expert who had helped them was Zhuowen. They didn't dare to be disrespectful towards such an expert. At the same time, the two of them felt very complicated and indescribable. When Zhuowen first entered the Star Wars battlefield, he was just an ordinary member of the masses. In the end, they had to rely on the Starry Sky Tower's Starry Sky Cannon to amaze everyone. Now, however, Zhuowen had killed 4 heaven-reaching Master Midstage and 3 heaven-reaching Master Late Stage with a flip of his hand. In just a few moves, he had completely annihilated the foreign race army of 100,000. This kind of method had already surpassed what a peak powerhouse like the Master of Sky-Piercing could do. Could it be that this Zhuowen's cultivation had already broken through the peak heaven-reaching master and reached the legendary half-step heaven-crushing realm? Thinking of this, LV Yelyang and Mai Xian could not hide their shock and complicated feelings. They had never thought that Zhuowen's path of advancement would be so fast. In such a short time, he had already become a top authority in this galaxy. Zhuowen nodded and said, Do you know how to get to the Alchemy Formation Dao Domain? Although the Alchemy Formation Dao Domain was in the Xian Mi Heavenly Domain, its location was very mysterious and hidden. Ordinary cultivators did not know the exact location of the Alchemy Formation Dao Domain at all. LV Yelyang and Mai Xian looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They both shook their heads and expressed their apologies to Zhuowen. Zhuowen did not ask any more questions. After letting LV Yelyang and Mai Xian activate the teleportation formation to the Eastern Dao Domain, his figure flashed, and his entire figure disappeared from the teleportation formation. After Zhuowen entered the Eastern Dao Domain, he directly took out the half-dead Zhu Wenlin from the Great World. At this moment, Zhu Wenlin was very miserable. His whole body was covered in wounds, and he panted weakly. His eyes were drooping, and he looked very haggard. Zhuowen, why haven't you let me go yet? I am the disciple of the Alchemy Formation Dao Domain's top Alchemy Formation Grandmaster, Bu Yang Rong. If he knows that you kidnapped me, he won't let you go. When Zhu Wenlin saw Zhuowen, his expression became extremely agitated, and he shouted at the top of his lungs. Hehe, you're wrong. Not only did I dare to kidnap you, but I also dare to kill you. Zhuowen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He grabbed Zhu Wenlin's neck and lifted him up. Zhu Wenlin was so frightened that he could not speak for a long time. "Let me go, and my master won't find trouble with you. As long as you let me go, I'll promise you anything." Zhu Wenlin trembled as he spoke. Zhuowen's lips curled into a sneer as he said, "I can let you go, but you have to do something for me. If you do it well, your life will be safe." "Okay. As long as you let me go, I'll do it immediately." Zhu Wenlin quickly nodded. "It's very simple. After you return to the Alchemy Formation Dao domain, help me find the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Formation record." Zhuowen said indifferently. "How do you know that the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Formation record is in the Alchemy Formation Dao domain?" Zhu Wenlin felt incredulous, but he quickly realized that something was wrong and quickly shut his mouth. But Zhuowen's gaze revealed joy. That remnant volume of the True Alchemy Formation record was indeed in the Alchemy Formation Dao domain. He was just casually probing in the first place. This Zhu Wenlin immediately took the bait. This process went so smoothly that it gave him a pleasant surprise. "What? Is it very difficult for you?" Zhuowen said with a cold gaze. Zhu Wenlin's body trembled, and he hurriedly agreed. He did not dare to joke around with his little life. Zhuowen undid the restraints on Zhu Wenlin's body and said coolly, "You're free now. Scram back to the Alchemy Formation Dao domain, but I planted a fatal poison in your body. Only I can cure this poison. You only have 3 months now. If you can't retrieve that remnant volume of the True Alchemy Formation record within 3 months, then you're dead for sure." Zhu Wenlin was both shocked and furious. He felt that Zhuowen was bullying people too much, but he did not dare to say anything and could only brace himself and agree. He was very clear that his life was currently grasped in Zhuowen's hands. Zhuowen watched Zhu Wenlin gradually disappear. He flicked his sleeves and activated the temporary transmission array that he had prepared long ago, transporting into a great world. Chapter 3489. Yuziqian. Zhu Wenlin fled in a panic. Almost immediately after Zhuowen let him go, he rushed towards the west without stopping to rest. Several days later, Zhu Wenlin discovered that Zhuowen did not chase after him. He sighed softly and muttered to himself, "That Zhuowen actually didn't chase after me. He actually let me go so easily." Zhu Wenlin felt that it was somewhat inconceivable, but soon, his face became gloomy. He recalled the words Zhuowen said before letting him go. He was somewhat bewildered. Was the poison that Zhuowen put in his body really that terrifying? Was that why Zhuowen let him go so easily? Thinking of this, Zhu Wenlin was somewhat worried. "Let's go back and find Master first. Perhaps Master will have a way to cure the poison in my body." Zhu Wenlin continued forward worriedly. About 10 days later, he arrived at the border of the host region. At the border of the host region, there was a desert floating in the starry sky. This desert was very strange, emitting a glass-like light. Zhu Wenlin arrived at the desert and secretly looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, he rushed to a small hill in the desert, took out an array flag, and activated it. Immediately, the array flag rotated, emitting array Dao fluctuations. Then, the small hill began to shatter, and a black hole vortex appeared. Zhu Wenlin jumped into the black hole vortex. Soon, the black hole vortex disappeared, and the small hill returned to the appearance of an ordinary hill. Zhuowen sat on the small island in the center of the lake in the great world. He spread out his divine sense and observed every movement in the outside world. "I really didn't expect this desert to have another world. It hides a passage to the alchemy array Dao domain." Zhuowen had a strange expression. His array Dao level was high enough, but when Zhu Wenlin first entered the desert, he actually did not notice that there was another world in this small hill. Zhu Wenlin traveled through the tunnel for several hours before finally landing on solid ground. Then, Zhu Wenlin appeared in a brand new world. The world in this world was very unique. The ground was pitch black, and the sky was pure white. When you looked at the intersection of heaven and earth in the distance, you would see black and white intertwined, as if yin and yang were alternating. "This is the alchemy array Dao domain." Everything in the outside world was under the surveillance of Zhuowen's divine sense. He could not help but exclaim in surprise. He discovered that this huge world was not purely a starry sky or a natural region. This domain should have been created by a powerful being who had used supreme formation techniques to combine countless formations and restrictions to form a domain of its own, forming such a strange domain. I heard that the alchemy array Dao domain was created by the alchemy. That alchemy array immortal monarch is truly an almighty figure. Zhuowen couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. He was also stunned by the extravagance in front of him. He even suspected that even a half-step heaven-breaker divine formation master wouldn't be able to set up such a massive formation. Could it be that when the alchemy array celestial lord created the alchemy array Dao domain, his skill in array Dao had already surpassed that of a half-step heaven-breaking cultivator? Thinking of this, Zhuowen's expression became very serious. He realized that he had still underestimated the alchemy array celestial lord's strength and extraordinary talent. Perhaps the alchemy array celestial lord was much more powerful than he had imagined. After all, this person had broken through the boundary of the starry sky and left the starry sky of the lower world. Moreover, he now had a preliminary understanding of the lower world and the 100 domains outside the lower world. He knew that even heaven-breaking cultivators would find it difficult to freely travel through the chaotic starry sky. Since the alchemy array celestial lord dared to leave the lower world alone, he probably had the ability to travel through the chaotic starry sky. His skill in array Dao was definitely much more terrifying than he had expected. After entering the alchemy array Dao domain, Zhu Wenlin took out a flying divine tool and flew forward. Soon, he arrived at an incomparably huge city. This city was definitely the largest city Zhuowen had ever seen. It occupied a large area, taking up 1/10 of the entire Dao domain. It was many times more majestic than the divine shaman city he had seen. At the center of the city stood a huge building with an alchemy cauldron, which represented the alchemy Dao. On top of the cauldron, there were 180 huge formation flag statues, which represented the array Dao. This should be the headquarters of the Alchemy Array Immortal Alliance, the Alchemy Array Immortal City. Zhuowen could not help but click his tongue in wonder when he saw all this clearly with his divine will. He had to admit that the Alchemy Array Immortal City was indeed very impressive. It was the most magical city he had ever seen. There were many people coming and going in the Alchemy Array Immortal City. Zhuowen discovered that most of them were alchemists or array Dao divine masters wearing long robes. Of course, there were also many cultivators living in the Alchemy Array Immortal City. Moreover, these cultivators were all very powerful. However, these powerful cultivators were very respectful towards the alchemists and array Dao divine masters coming and going. It was obvious that in the Alchemy Array Immortal City, cultivators who did not know alchemy or array Dao had the lowest status. Once Zhu Wenlin entered the Alchemy Array Immortal City, he hurriedly sent a message to Bu Yangrong. Then, he quickly ran towards the Alchemy Array building in the center of the city. "Hey, isn't this Brother Zhu? I heard that you went to the Alchemy Array Immortal Alliance in the host region and became the Alliance Master there. It's very impressive. Why did you come back today? Moreover, your face is bruised and swollen. You must have been beaten up by someone." When Zhu Wenlin arrived at the entrance of the Alchemy Array building, a young man in white walked out with a folding fan in his hand. He happened to see the travel-worn Zhu Wenlin and revealed a playful smile. Zhu Wenlin stopped in his tracks and looked at the young man in white blocking his way. His face was gloomy as he said, "Yu Ziqian, I don't have time to chat with you right now. Move aside. I have something to discuss with my master." Zhu Wenlin naturally knew the young man in white in front of him. Yu Ziqian's father was the same as his master Bu Yangrong. They were both elders in the Alchemy Array Immortal City. Because Yu Ziqian's father and his master Bu Yangrong did not have a good relationship, whenever Yu Ziqian and Zhu Wenlin met in the past, they would be at each other's throats and would often have conflicts. If it was in the past, Zhu Wenlin would definitely tear into Yu Ziqian. However, he was not in the mood now. He only wanted to see Bu Yangrong as soon as possible and tell him what happened during this period of time. He also wanted to know if Bu Yongrong could cure the poison in his body. Yu Ziqian chuckled and took a step forward. He stood in front of Zhu Wenlin and said with a faint smile, "Brother Zhu, if you want me to move aside, it's very simple. Just crawl under my crotch. Then, you can enter the Alchemy Array Great Hall." Hearing this, Zhu Wenlin's face changed. He looked at Yu Ziqian angrily and said, "Yu Ziqian, don't go too far. Hee. Then don't even think about going in today. I'll stop you right here." Yu Ziqian shrugged and said mockingly. He could tell that Zhu Wenlin was very anxious to enter the Alchemy Array Great Hall to find someone. He would not let Zhu Wenlin enter the Great Hall. Zhu Wenlin was already out of his wits. He was very afraid of the poison that Zhuowen had planted in his body. Now, he just wanted to find Bu Yongrong as soon as possible. He could not wait any longer. "Yu Ziqian, are you sure you said that? I'll crawl under." Zhu Wenlin gritted his teeth and crawled under Yu Ziqian's crotch. Then, he entered the depths of the Great Hall without looking back. Chapter 3490. Servant. Haha. I'm dying of laughter. This guy is really a coward. Yu Ziqian laughed loudly and left the Pillaret main hall in large strides. Many people in the surroundings were also discussing spiritedly as they looked at Zhu Wenlin's back with disdain. Inside the Pillaret main hall, inside Bu Yongrong's cave, Zhu Wenlin knelt in front of Bu Yongrong with tears streaming down his face as he recounted the various miserable things that Zhuowen had done to him. Bu Yongrong's gaze was cold. He suddenly smashed the table beside his armrest with his palm and said in a deep voice, "That Zhuowen is really going too far. He actually dares to ride on the heads of our Pillaret Dao region." Speaking up to here, Bu Yongrong came before Zhu Wenlin and held his wrist with one hand as he began to examine Zhu Wenlin's body. But soon, his gaze revealed a strange look. "Master, how is it? Did you notice what poison I was poisoned with?" Zhu Wenlin looked at Bu Yongrong with hope in his eyes. Bu Yongrong's gaze became more and more strange as he said, "Wenlin, I did not detect any symptoms of being poisoned on your body. Are you sure that Zhuowen poisoned you?" Zhu Wenlin's face was deathly pale as he said while trembling, "Even Master did not notice how terrifying the poison that damn Zhuowen poisoned me with was." Bu Yongrong's gaze turned solemn. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. He said in a deep voice, "You said that Zhuowen directly let you go and only poisoned you. He actually did not follow you into the Pillaret Dao domain?" The location of the Pillaret Dao domain was very mysterious. Generally speaking, Zhuowen should have let Zhu Wenlin bring him to the Pillaret Dao domain. However, Zhuowen did not do so. He only let Zhu Wenlin go, poisoned him, and reminded him to retrieve the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Array record. Not good. That Zhuowen might have done something to your body. Bu Yongrong suddenly realized something and retreated a few steps as he looked at Zhu Wenlin with a bewildered gaze. The moment Bu Yongrong retreated, a large hand suddenly stretched out from behind Zhu Wenlin and rapidly blasted towards Bu Yongrong. Bu Yongrong was already prepared. He threw out array flags one after another. Terrifying array formation fluctuations spread out in all directions like waves. Bang bang bang. Unfortunately, the moment these formation flags came into contact with the giant hand, they exploded like paper and were very fragile. Rumble. The hand directly tore apart the defensive array in front of Bu Yongrong and grabbed him by the neck, lifting him up. Zhu Wenlin was scared out of his wits. Before he could even react, Bu Yongrong was right in front of him. A large hand reached out from behind him and grabbed his neck. He had no strength to resist at all. What's going on? Zhu Wenlin's legs went soft as he knelt on the ground. His eyes were filled with terror as he muttered to himself. "Of course it's your doing," an indifferent voice sounded. Then, a figure slowly walked out from the void behind Zhu Wenlin. "Zhuowen? You? Why are you here?" Zhu Wenlin sat down on the ground and kept retreating. He looked at Zhuowen with fear in his eyes. "If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here." Zhuowen sneered. You've been attached to my body all this time?" Zhu Wenlin thought of something and turned pale with fright. Zhuowen shot out an energy rope and tied Zhu Wenlin up. Then, His gaze landed on Bu Yangrong. Bu Yangrong felt his scalp go numb when he felt Zhuowen's gaze. His heart was filled with bitterness. The pressure that Zhuowen gave him was too terrifying. He knew that Zhuowen was at least a grandmaster of the heaven-reaching realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so easily restrained by Zhuowen. Zhuowen, how dare you barge into the Pillaray Immortal City? Do you really think that there's no one in the Pillaray Immortal City? You have to know that our Pillaray Dao domain has a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse holding down the fort, Bu Yangrong said angrily. Bu Yangrong was very confident, feeling that Zhuowen wouldn't act recklessly. Because their Pillaray Dao domain's foundation far surpassed the outside world's 4 great Dao domains. There was a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse holding down the fort inside the Pillaray Dao domain. He really wasn't afraid of this Zhuowen. If this Zhuowen dared to act recklessly, he wouldn't be able to walk out of the Pillaray Dao domain at all. Oh, there's actually a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse inside your Pillaray Dao domain? Zhuowen asked in astonishment. Bu Yangrong raised his neck and said rather proudly, of course. Our Pillaray Dao domain's foundation is very deep, surpassing the Xian-Mi heavenly region's other 4 great Dao domains and the primitive desolate heavenly region. Apart from the heaven-reaching mystery realm, it's the only region with a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse. So what? Killing you is merely a matter of flipping my hand. That half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse can't save you, Zhuowen said with a cold smile. Zhuowen, don't be rash. What exactly do you want? Bu Yangrong was helpless and could only use a negotiating tone. Tell me where the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Array record is. Also, I need the pill formula of the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill and a 3 Realms Flower Chenyu. As long as you give these 3 things to me, I'll spare your and your disciples' lives, Zhuowen said indifferently. Zhuowen, you might as well rob. Bu Yangrong shrieked. Whether it was the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Array record, the pill formula of the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill, or the 3 Realms Flower Chenyu, they were all extremely precious things. Especially the True Alchemy Array record, it was a true priceless treasure. How could he possibly take it out? I won't make things difficult for you. Tell me the exact location of the True Alchemy Array record. Also, the whereabouts of the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill and the 3 Realms Flower Chenyu. I can also consider letting you live, Zhuowen said indifferently. Don't even think about the True Alchemy Array record and the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill's pill formula. Those things are in the hands of the Immortal City Lord. You can't get it at all. As for the 3 Realms Flower Chenyu, I can help you get it, Bu Yangrong said solemnly. Zhuowen's eyes flickered and said with a nod, as long as you can help me, the 3 Realms Flower Chenyu, I can spare your life. However, during the time I'm in the Alchemy Array Dao domain, you have to acknowledge me as your master. Your life and death must be in my hands. What? Zhuowen, you're too much. You actually want me to be your servant? Bu Yangrong shrieked, his voice very sharp. Bang! Zhuowen directly punched Bu Yangrong, directly hitting him until he vomited blood and his face turned pale. Since you're not willing, then go to hell. Anyway, you're not the only one who knows about the True Alchemy Array record and the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill. Zhuowen's eyes revealed terrifying killing intent, planning to give Bu Yangrong a fatal blow. No. I'll acknowledge you as my master. Let me live. Bu Yangrong yielded. He still did not want to die. After Zhuowen took away Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin 2 people's divine soul imprints, he also undid the 2 people's bindings. Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin 2 people's heads drooped. They were very dejected. Now, they became Zhuowen's servants. Their life and death were in Zhuowen's hands. Now, they had no choice but to listen to Zhuowen's instructions. Chapter 3491. 3 Realms Flower Chenyu. In a spacious and quiet room, Zhuowen sat cross-legged on a futon. Purple light flickered around his body, and his chest rose and fell rhythmically as he breathed in and out the surrounding energy. Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes and muttered to himself strangely, I really didn't expect that the pill array Dao domain still has chaotic energy. Although the purity of chaotic energy is not as good as the heavenly secret realm, it's much better than other Dao domains. At least my human body can cultivate here. Zhuowen felt that it was inconceivable. The pill array Dao domain was in the starry sky of the lower realm and did not come into contact with the chaotic starry sky. Logically speaking, it was impossible for chaotic energy to exist in the pill array Dao domain. Zhuowen knew that the reason why chaotic energy appeared was because of the pill array immortal monarch. The pill array immortal monarch should have used a supreme array Dao technique to connect the pill array Dao domain to the chaotic starry sky so that he could seize a portion of chaotic energy from the chaotic starry sky and integrate it into the pill array Dao domain. There was a knock on the door, and Zhuowen said indifferently, "Come in, the door is not locked." Creak. The door was pushed open, and Zhu Wenlin walked in with a humble smile. "Master. My master already has clues about the Three Realms flower Qianyu. He should be able to get it in less than 3 days," Zhu Wenlin said with a flattering smile. Bu Yongrong did well. Also, do you have the whereabouts of the pill array true record and the 6 desires condensing divine pill recipe? Zhuowen suddenly asked. Zhu Wenlin laughed dryly. "Master, whether it's the pill array true record or the 6 desires spirit condensation saint pill recipe, they're both extraordinary. They're all in the hands of the City Lord. That's the City Lord of the pill array Celestial City, a peerless expert whose talent is close to the pill array Celestial Lord. Even my master won't be able to get these 2 things for you." Zhuo Wen frowned. He'd roughly found out from Bu Yongrong and Zhu Wenlin that the governor of Pill Formation City was called Duan Chengyao, and he was a monstrous genius in pill formations that possessed world-shocking talent. It was said that Duan Chengyao had cultivated both alchemy and array Dao to the half-step heaven-crushing stage in just a short 10,000 years. What was even more amazing was that Chengyao was a peak third blight cultivator. Such powerful alchemy and formation Dao combined with his terrifying cultivation would be heaven-defying. He would be able to fight against fourth blight cultivators. Moreover, he'd also found out from Bu Yongrong that Duan Chengyao wasn't the only half-step heaven-shattering expert in the pill formation Dao domain, and there were a total of 6 half-step heaven-shattering experts including Duan Chengyao. Of course, the other 5 half-step heaven-crushing elites were cultivators that had been nurtured by the alchemy formation Dao region for countless years, and they weren't skilled in alchemy or formation Dao. With the foundation of the alchemy formation Dao domain, it was indeed very possible for it to nurture a half-step heaven-crushing cultivator. After all, its profession was alchemy, and it did not lack divine pills and miraculous medicines at all. With a large number of divine pills and elixirs, as long as a cultivator's talent wasn't too bad, their speed of advancement wouldn't be slow. Of course, many of the cultivators in the alchemy array Dao domain had joined the alchemy array Dao domain from outside. After all, after joining the alchemy array Dao domain, one would not have to worry about divine pills and miraculous medicines. They could be nurtured with all their might, rapidly increasing their strength. Of course, compared to the heaven-accessing mystic realm, the alchemy array Dao domain was still far inferior. However, it was far superior to the other Dao domains of the Xianmi heavenly domain and the primitive heavenly domain. I'm not asking you to help me get the true alchemy record and the 6 desires spirit condensing divine pill recipe for me. I'm asking you to give me the specific whereabouts of these 2 things. I'll get them myself, Zhuowen said indifferently. Zhu Wenlin's eyes flashed, and he said hesitantly, "Master, why don't you wait for 3 months? 3 months later, the Celestial City Lord will hold a competition in the Celestial City. At that time, all the participants will have a chance to enter the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion, and whether it's the true alchemy record or the 6 desires spirit condensing divine pill recipe, they've all been recorded in the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. With Master's ability, as long as you enter the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion, you might be able to obtain the true alchemy record and the 6 desires spirit condensing divine pill recipe." Oh! The Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion? They belong to the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch? Zhuowen's eyes lit up as he asked. Yes, The Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion was the pavilion where the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch studied alchemy and set up arrays. After the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch mysteriously disappeared, the pavilion was inherited by the new Celestial City Lord. After that, it was passed down from generation to generation until it reached the hands of the current Celestial City Lord. Zhu Wenlin said in a deep voice. It's said that the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion contains the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's lifetime creation of the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch, as well as a large amount of understanding about the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch. It's the real supreme treasure in the Celestial City. In the past, the Celestial City Lord had never taken it out. This time, in the Celestial City Lord's competition, he actually took it out. It's really surprising. Then, Zhu Wenlin looked at Zhuowen and continued, Master, if you want to, you can participate in the Celestial City Lord's competition with me. With Master's Alchemy Array Celestial City Lord, this Celestial City competition won't be too difficult for you. Help me register. My temporary identity in the Alchemy Array Celestial City is Bu Yangrong's new disciple. I'm also your junior brother, Zhuowen said. Master, I don't dare. Zhu Wenlin trembled and said hurriedly. No matter. When there's no one around, you can call me Master. However, when there are people around, it's best to call me junior brother. Otherwise, I don't need to tell you the consequences. Zhuowen said coldly. Zhu Wenlin nodded quickly. Then, Zhuowen waved his hand and dismissed him. Zhu Wenlin respectfully left the room. 3 days later, Bu Yangrong really brought Zhuowen the Three Realms Flower Thousand Feathers. This made Zhuowen very satisfied. Master, do you really intend to take away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record? Bu Yangrong hesitated for a while after handing the Three Realms Flower Thousand Feathers to Zhuowen. What? Is there a problem? Zhuowen looked at the Three Realms Flower Thousand Feathers in his hand and said indifferently, Master, I don't doubt that you have the ability to take away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record. However, you have to know that the true Alchemy Array record is the only thing left behind by the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch. Its value is immeasurable. Even if you take it away, you can't take it away. As for the 6 Desires Spirit Congealing Saint Pill, if you have the ability, you can take it away. However, you can't take away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record. Bu Yangrong was very serious and his eyes were full of coldness. You're saying that even if I find the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record in the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, the Master of the Immortal City won't let me take it away. Is that what you mean? Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Bu Yangrong nodded and remained silent. So what? I, Zhuowen, must get the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record. Whoever dares to snatch it away, I'll kill them. The Master of the Immortal City is no exception. If you have nothing else, you can leave now. Call me when the competitions start. Zhuowen's eyes were full of killing intent and his voice was cold and ruthless. Bu Yangrong sighed in his heart. He wasn't really worried about Zhuowen's safety. On the contrary, in his opinion, Zhuowen was dead for sure. He was only worried that after Zhuowen took away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record, it would implicate him. That would be a big trouble for him. After all, he was the one who protected Zhuowen and allowed Zhuowen to participate in the competition. If something happened to Zhuowen, he definitely couldn't escape the responsibility. However, Bu Yangrong also knew that he couldn't persuade Zhuowen. Now, he could only take one step at a time. I'll take my leave. Chapter 3492. Immortal City competition time passed quickly, and 3 months passed quickly. During these 3 months, Zhuowen had been cultivating in seclusion in his room. Of course, his main focus was still his human body. There were too many restrictions on his clone's cultivation. He needed the ancestral sorcery GU worms to truly cultivate and advance. At the same time, he would also take out the true Pill Array record to study and raise his Pill Array level. His Array Dao level had already reached half-step Heavenbreaker, and he was mainly studying Pill Dao. He had a feeling that his Pill Dao was about to break through and reach a critical state. He only needed an opportunity, and his alchemy Dao would be able to evolve rapidly, leaping to half-step heaven breaker level. Moreover, the more Zhuo studied the true pill array records, the more extraordinary he found the true pill array records. He was sure that the pill array immortal monarch was definitely an extraordinary pill array grandmaster. His level had already surpassed this starry sky. Zhuo had a premonition that if he could obtain the complete true record of alchemy arrays and study it thoroughly, his alchemy array level would very likely advance to the heaven breaker level. This was also why Zhuo urgently wanted to obtain the pill array true record in the pill array immortal city. Master, today is the day of the immortal city competition. Come with me. Zhu Wenlin's voice came from outside the door. Zhuo stood up and opened the door. Zhu Wenlin respectfully stepped aside. Let's go. Where's Bu Yangrong? Zhuo walked out and asked casually. Zhu Wenlin followed behind and said respectfully, Master is a member of the Elder Group. Today, he was summoned by the Grand Elder to maintain order in the Immortal City competition. Zhu Wenlin led Zhuo out of the Pill Array Hall and onto the streets of the Immortal City. Only now did Zhuo realize that the streets of the Pill Array Immortal City were bustling with people coming and going, and it was extremely lively. Today is the day of the Immortal City Grand Competition. Many people rushed back from outside just to participate in the Immortal City Grand Competition. Zhu Wenlin said with an embarrassed smile when he saw Zhuo's strange expression. Everyone can participate in the Immortal City competition? Zhuo asked curiously. Yes. As long as one was a member of the Pill Array Immortal City and had reached the Dao Vindication level, one would have the right to participate in the Immortal City competition. Of course, there is also an age limit. They must be under 10,000 years old. Those old monsters who don't come out are not qualified to participate. Of course, only a small number of people were able to stand out in the Immortal City competition. Even I would find it difficult to get into the top 10, Zhu Wenlin said with a wry smile. Even you can't get into the top 10? Zhuo asked curiously. Zhu Wenlin's alchemy skills were not weak. They had both reached the peak of the creator stage. Compared to the other Dao domains in the Xianmi heavenly domain, this level was definitely at the top. Moreover, Zhu Wenlin's age was definitely not more than 10,000 years old. He was definitely a genius. Zhu Wenlin actually did not have the confidence to enter the top 10 in this Immortal City competition. The younger generation of the Alchemy Array Dao domain was a little terrifying. Not long after, Zhu Wenlin brought Zhuo to the southeastern part of the Immortal City, in front of a huge plaza. Behind the plaza stood an incomparably huge pavilion. Multicolored light flowed on the pavilion's surface, and it was filled with terrifying array Dao ripples. Zhuo's eyes were solemn. The array Dao ripples of this pavilion were very powerful, and it shocked Zhuo. The arrays set up here were all half-step heaven breaker arrays. Although Zhuo was already a half-step heaven breaker array Dao divine master, he knew that he would have to spend a lot of time and effort to break the restrictions on the pavilion's surface. Moreover, he could faintly feel that there was a mysterious restriction power inside this pavilion. This restriction power was too mysterious and profound. Even Zhuo could not see through it. This is the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. It was the pavilion that the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch used to live in. It's the true holy land of the Alchemy Array Immortal City. Normally, the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion is not open to the public. Ordinary people can't enter at all, only people with high status and authority have the right to enter, and the number of times they can enter is very limited, Zhu Wenlin said as he pointed at the huge pavilion in front of him. At this moment, there were many people gathered in the plaza outside the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. Zhuo carefully looked at the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. He realized that although it was a pavilion, it was a tower-like structure with a total of 81 floors. Zhu Wenlin had previously introduced to him that the manuals in the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion were ranked from the bottom to the top. It was said that the top floor of the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion contained a remnant of the true Pill Array record. However, the restriction on the top floor was very terrifying. In the entire Pill Array Celestial City, only the City Lord, Duan Chengyaro, had the ability to enter the top floor. Other than that, even the Grand Elder of the Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan, who was second only to Duan Chengyao in terms of array Dao, had failed to enter the top floor to comprehend the remnant of the true Pill Array record. At the bottom of the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion, there were white jade stairs that went up. On the stairs, there were 21 figures. The most eye-catching one was the old man with a long white beard standing at the front. Zhuowen saw Bu Yangrong among the 21 figures. He knew that these 21 people should be the elder group of the Immortal City. As for the white-bearded old man, he should be the leader of the elder group, the Grand Elder of the Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan. Yo, Brother Zhu, you still have the face to participate in the Immortal City's grand competition? I really didn't expect it. Suddenly, a mocking voice was heard. A group of people walked over from behind. The leader was a young man holding a folding fan. Zhuowen looked at the young man. He was no stranger to this person. This person was called Yu Ziqian. Previously, he had blocked Zhu Wenlin outside the Pill Array Great Hall and forced Zhu Wenlin to crawl under his crotch. At that time, Zhu Wenlin was already out of his wits. He actually crawled under Yu Ziqian's crotch and became the laughingstock of many people in the Immortal City. The moment Zhu Wenlin saw Yu Ziqian, his face turned green and white. He did not look good. Aya, Brother Zhu, you don't look good. I have a way to restore you to your normal state. Yu Ziqian chuckled. He lifted his trousers and spread his legs apart. He looked at Zhu Wenlin mockingly and said, Brother Zhu just needs to crawl under my crotch again, and Brother Zhu's face will definitely be rosy and full of energy. When Yu Ziqian said this, many people behind him roared with laughter. They did not hold back their laughter at all. Yu Ziqian, don't go overboard. How dare you humiliate me in public? Zhu Wenlin said angrily. Yu Ziqian chuckled coldly and said, Hehe, Brother Zhu, it's fine if you don't appreciate my help. I helped you with good intentions, but you really treated my good intentions as ill intent. At this point, Yu Ziqian's gaze fell on Zhuowen, who was beside Zhu Wenlin. He continued, I heard that you have a new junior brother. It must be this guy. How about this, as a junior brother, you help your senior brother. Crawl under my crotch in his place and treat your senior brother's complexion. How about that? Zhuowen's gaze hardened, and he looked coldly at Yu Ziqian. Zhuowen had no interest in the conflict between Zhu Wenlin and Yu Ziqian, nor did he want to interfere. Chapter 3493. Crawl under his crotch. Yu Ziqian naturally noticed Zhuowen's cold glare and shuddered involuntarily. However, he was soon enraged. Zhuowen was ignoring him and leading Zhu Wenlin toward the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. How reckless! All of you, attack! Stop them. If they don't crawl under his crotch today, we'll beat them until they do. At Yu Ziqian's command, the 6 cultivators behind him rushed out and blocked Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin's path. These 6 cultivators were most likely Yu Ziqian's subordinates. They were all very strong, at least at the creation realm. The leader was even an early-stage Ascension Master. They stood in front of Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin with malicious intent. The early-stage Ascension Master said coldly, Didn't you hear what our young master said? Or are you deaf? Of course we heard it. Brother Yu Ziqian said he wanted to crawl under my senior brother Zhu Wenlin's crotch. My senior brother wasn't willing at first, afraid that Yu Ziqian's head would sully his crotch. However, seeing Brother Yu's enthusiasm, my senior brother had no choice but to reluctantly accept it. Zhuowen was very calm. He gave Zhu Wenlin, who was a little stunned, a look. Zhu Wenlin came back to his senses and felt a little helpless. He could only do as Zhuowen said and spread his legs. He looked at Yu Ziqian and said, Yu Ziqian, if you want to crawl under my crotch, go ahead. Hurry up, I'm in a hurry. When these words were spoken, many of the surrounding onlookers were stunned. They looked at Zhu Wenlin and Zhuowen with strange gazes. Is there something wrong with your heads? I asked you to crawl under my crotch. When did I say? Yu Ziqian's face darkened. Before he could finish speaking, he felt a formless power surge into his soul, causing it to become disordered. Plop. Just when everyone thought Yu Ziqian was going to explode, Yu Ziqian knelt on the ground. His eyes were glazed over, and white foam was coming out of his mouth. He looked like an idiot as he crawled towards Zhu Wenlin. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Yu Ziqian squirmed between Zhu Wenlin's legs and back again like a pug. Zhu Wenlin was stunned as well. He glanced discreetly at Zhuowen, who was standing beside him. He knew that Yu Ziqian's condition must have been caused by this person beside him. Zhu Wenlin's guess was right. Yu Ziqian's spirit had been temporarily suppressed by Zhuowen. Furthermore, he had implanted the consciousness of burrowing into Yu Ziqian's spirit. Of course, this wasn't possession. This consciousness wouldn't stay in Yu Ziqian's soul for too long. Once the consciousness disappeared, Yu Ziqian would recover. Zhuowen's spirit was so powerful that it stood at the peak of the universe. Yu Ziqian's spirit was too weak. In his eyes, Yu Ziqian was nothing more than trash. The 6 cultivators who had been standing between Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin were all dumbfounded. They stared incredulously at Yu Ziqian, who was squirming between Zhu Wenlin's legs like a pug. They were all flabbergasted. Yu Ziqian's eyes regained their clarity. Then, he saw that his hands were on the ground, right below Zhu Wenlin's crotch. Yu Ziqian's body stiffened. His eyes widened, and his entire body trembled. Zhu Wenlin, you bastard. I'm going to cut you into pieces. Yu Ziqian tried to stand up, but Zhu Wenlin had already received Zhuowen's message. He stomped his foot on Yu Ziqian's face without hesitation. Yu Ziqian was in for a tragedy. He was already under Zhu Wenlin's crotch, so he never thought that Zhu Wenlin would be so shameless as to step on him. His face was caught off guard as the sole of Zhu Wenlin's foot came into contact with his face, and he was sent crashing into the ground. Yu Ziqian and Zhu Wenlin were about the same level of strength to begin with. In fact, Yu Ziqian was slightly weaker than Zhu Wenlin. Now that Zhu Wenlin had the upper hand, it was difficult for Yu Ziqian to shake him off. He struggled, but couldn't get up. Instead, his face hurt from the pressure. How dare you! The 6 cultivators flew into a rage when they saw that Yu Ziqian's face was being stomped on. They attacked without hesitation. However, before they could even get close to Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin, they all fell to the ground and fainted. Many of the onlookers were in an uproar. This was too bizarre. These 6 cultivators weren't weak, but they'd all fainted as soon as they charged over. Was this all Zhu Wenlin's doing? Thinking of this, the gazes of the surrounding crowd turned grave as they looked at Zhu Wenlin. Brother Zhu, long time no see. I didn't expect you to have learned such a powerful soul technique. Congratulations. Just as Zhu Wenlin was stomping on Yu Ziqian, a young man in snow-white clothes walked over from the crowd. This young man in white was very handsome, and his skin was excessively fair. At this moment, he was looking at Yu Ziqian with bright eyes. It's Chu Xiangdi. He's the personal disciple of the 2nd elder in the elder group. Among the younger generation, his alchemy skills are second only to the disciple of the immortal city's great elder, Jiang Pinghui. He's very famous. This Chu Xiangdi is very proud and arrogant. He usually has high standards but low skills. Why is he so enthusiastic today? Zhu Wenlin didn't expect Chu Xiangdi to take the initiative to talk to him. This Chu Xiangdi's talent was much higher than his, and he was much more famous. In the past, he had always looked up to him. The number of times they had spoken was no more than 10. Their relationship could be said to be very ordinary. But now, he could see that Chu Xiangdi was looking at him with a gaze filled with eagerness. He quickly thought of the reason. It must be because of what happened just now, which made Chu Xiangdi mistakenly think that it was him who did it. Just as Zhu Wenlin was about to say that everything that happened just now was Zhuowen's doing, he was warned by Zhuowen to not speak of it. Zhu Wenlin was helpless, he did not dare to disobey Zhuowen's orders, and could only force a smile. Brother Chu is too polite. Just now, it was just a small trick. Brother Zhu is really modest. The soul is the most difficult to cultivate. For Brother Zhu to be able to learn such a powerful soul technique, I am very happy for Brother Zhu. Chu Xiangdi said enthusiastically. Zhuowen watched coldly from the side. He could tell with a glance that this Chu Xiangdi was approaching Zhu Wenlin for the so-called soul technique. His goal was not pure. Unfortunately, Chu Xiangdi did not know that the one who truly possessed a powerful soul technique was not Zhu Wenlin, but him, Zhuowen. Not at all, not at all. Zhu Wenlin replied rather courteously. At the same time, he kicked Yu Ziqian to one side. Zhu Wenlin, you mongrel, to actually dare plot against me, you're dead for sure. See if I don't beat you to death. After Yu Ziqian rolled several times, he immediately stood up and charged towards Zhu Wenlin in a rage. Smack. However, when Yu Ziqian just arrived in front of Zhu Wenlin, the Chu Xiangdi who was originally talking and laughing directly gave a slap over, sending Yu Ziqian to the ground. Yu Ziqian was immediately stunned. He looked at Chu Xiangdi blankly. Yu Ziqian, if you dare to cause trouble here again, I don't mind reporting this matter to my master. I want to see if Elder Yu will stand on your side, or my side when the time comes, Chu Xiangdi said coolly. Yu Ziqian covered his face and said in a low voice, Senior Apprentice Brother Chu, I was wrong. I hope that Senior Apprentice Brother Chu is magnanimous and doesn't take issue with my foolishness today. Yu Ziqian's heart was already overflowing with hatred long ago, but he did not dare to show it. Chu Xiangdi's master was an existence second only to the immortal city's head elder in the group of elders. His status and power surpassed his father's. He really did not dare to offend someone like Chu Xiangdi. Chapter 3494. Jiang Pinghui. Many thanks to Senior Brother Chu for your help this time. Zhu Wenlin cupped his hands respectfully. Chu Xiangdi's status and talent were above his. In the past, he had worshipped Chu Xiangdi, let alone now. Oh right, Senior Brother Chu, this is my junior brother. His name is Zhuowen. He's a disciple that my master has just accepted. Zhu Wenlin pointed at Zhuowen beside him and introduced him to Chu Xiangdi. Chu Xiangdi nodded slightly at Zhuowen and didn't pay too much attention to Zhuowen. If he didn't suspect that Zhu Wenlin had a powerful soul art, he wouldn't even pay attention to Zhu Wenlin, let alone come to befriend him. Zhuowen naturally saw through Chu Xiangdi's thoughts. He sneered in his heart but did not say anything. Junior Apprentice Brother Zhu, just now when you took down those 6 cultivators in an instant, you should have used some kind of soul mystic technique, right? Chu Xiangdi suddenly asked tentatively. Zhu Wenlin was stunned. Glancing at Zhuowen, he laughed dryly and said, turns out that Brother Chu saw through it. I indeed used the divine soul mystic art. I obtained this soul secret technique by accident. It's damaged, and the side effects are huge. Hearing this, Chu Xiangdi's eyes showed obvious disappointment. He smiled and said, Junior Brother Zhu, I wonder if you can lend me your soul secret technique. Zhuowen's brows furrowed slightly. This Chu Xiangdi really thought too highly of himself. He'd only just met Zhu Wenlin, and he actually asked for the divine soul mystic technique from the other party. It was a bit too much. Zhu Wenlin was speechless. He didn't know any divine soul secret arts. Everything just now was done by Zhuowen, and it had nothing to do with him. Chu Xiangdi had asked him for a divine soul secret technique, so how could he possibly take it out? Chu Xiangdi saw Zhu Wenlin fall silent and said with a faint smile, Junior Apprentice Brother Zhu, it was brother who was rude. However, I really need that soul secret technique right now. I hope Junior Brother Zhu can lend it to me so I can take a look. I won't treat Junior Brother unfairly. Zhu Wenlin remained silent while Zhuowen said, Senior Brother Chu, the competition in the Immortal City is about to begin. Let's discuss this matter after the competition ends. Chu Xiangdi looked at Zhuowen and said coldly, I'm talking to your senior brother, why are you interrupting? Zhuowen narrowed his eyes. Just as he was about to speak, there was an uproar in the surroundings, attracting the attention of Zhuowen, Zhu Wenlin, and Chu Xiangdi. At this moment, everyone's attention was on the periphery of the square. There, a group of people slowly approached. At the front of this group of people was a very luxurious palanquin. The 4 cultivators carrying the palanquin were all master transcendence experts. Zhuowen's eyes flashed with surprise. The owner of this palanquin seemed to have an extraordinary status. Even the people carrying the palanquin were Empyrean sovereigns. Zhuowen wondered who this person was. The moment Chu Xiangdi saw the palanquin, his eyes lit up. He couldn't be bothered to continue arguing with Zhuowen. He quickly walked towards the palanquin. The palanquin stopped in the middle of the square. Then, a beautiful figure walked out of the palanquin. This was a woman with skin as white as snow. Her hair was like a waterfall that danced in the wind. Her delicate and beautiful face was like a finely carved porcelain jade. Her hair fluttered in the wind, adding a sense of hazy spirituality. She was like a fairy in a dream. This woman was very beautiful. She was like a fairy who didn't belong to the mortal world. Even Zhuowen was shocked when he saw this woman for the first time. Zhu Wenlin, who was standing beside Zhuowen, had a mesmerized look on his face. He stood there in a daze. "Who is this woman?" Zhuowen asked in surprise. "Her name is Jiang Pinghui. She is the direct disciple of the Immortal City's great elder. She is also the most talented genius among the younger generation in the Immortal City. She has only cultivated for a little over 1,000 years. Her alchemy skills have already reached the peak of the creation realm. She is not far from the heaven-connecting realm. Her skills have even surpassed some of the elders in the elder group. And she is so beautiful. She is really," Zhu Wenlin said in a mesmerized manner. Zhuowen was a little speechless. This Zhu Wenlin was acting like a love-struck fool. Zhuowen wanted to facepalm. Zhuowen sized up the beautiful woman who walked out of the palanquin. He had to admit that this woman's talent in alchemy was indeed very strong. In just a little over 1,000 years, she was able to cultivate her alchemy skills to the peak of the creation realm. This was not something an ordinary person could do. At this moment, Chu Xiangdi had already walked to the side of the palanquin. He looked at Jiang Pinghui eagerly and wanted to help her down. Jiang Pinghui smiled sweetly. Her jade-like hand gently avoided Chu Xiangdi's hand and landed on the ground. Chu Xiangdi did not mind. He hurriedly went up to talk to Jiang Pinghui. Jiang Pinghui had been very calm. Under the crowd's escort, she slowly walked to the front of the square. At this moment, among the elders in front of the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion, the Immortal City's Grand Elder, who was the leader, saw Jiang Pinghui coming. He stroked his long white beard and revealed a kind expression. What he was most proud of was that he had taken in such a talented disciple. She had given him a lot of face as her master. "I think it's about time. I will explain the details of this Immortal City competition to everyone." Immortal City's Grand Elder Yu Jinghuan spoke. He continued, "City Lord Duan is still in seclusion and will not come out easily. Therefore, this Immortal City competition will be hosted by this old man. And this Immortal City competition is very simple. It will not be as complicated as the previous years." At this point, Yu Jinghuan pointed to the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion behind him and said, "Everyone knows that this is the first time the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion is open to everyone. And the location of the Immortal City competition will be in the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion. The Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion is where the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion used to refine pills and set up arrays. There are too many array Dao restrictions and pill fire traps inside. At the same time, there are many precious manuals. And the higher you go, the more precious the manuals are. This Immortal City competition is for everyone to enter the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion and search for your own manuals. Each of you will have the chance to bring out 3 manuals. Once 3 manuals are taken, you will definitely be teleported out. However, in the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion, the higher the level, the more precious the manuals are. And on the 81st level, there is a remnant of the true Pillar Ray record. As long as one of you has the strength to reach the highest level, the true Pillar Ray record will belong to that person. At this point, Yu Jinghuan paused for a moment. Everyone in the square was dumbfounded. The true Pillar Ray record was too famous in the Pillar Ray Dao region. It was said that it was the life work of the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch and was very precious. This time, it was open to everyone. The Immortal City Lord of the Pillar Ray Immortal City was too generous. Yu Jinghuan was very calm. His words were just to motivate everyone. Chapter 3495. Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Now, I will open the door to the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion. After you enter, you can choose the books you want. However, let me make it clear that the restrictions in this pavilion are very powerful. If your Pillar Ray skills are not up to par, it is best not to enter rashly. Otherwise, your life will be in danger, Yu Jinghuan reminded them in a serious tone. Then, he took out an array flag and took it out. The moment Yu Jinghuan made this move, the 20 elders behind him also took out array flags and took out array flags in unison with Yu Jinghuan. 21 array flags floated in the air, forming a terrifying whirlpool. Finally, the whirlpool landed in front of the door of the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Bang! 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 The surface of the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion rippled with a strong array Dao, and it emitted a dazzling light, as if it was resisting the array flags. In the end, the array Dao ripples calmed down, and the door in front of the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion slowly opened. Inside the door, a blazing white light shot out. It was extremely dazzling, and it was impossible to see what was inside clearly through the door. You guys can go in, Yu Jinghuan said indifferently. As soon as he said that, the restless crowd in the plaza impatiently rushed into the door. At this moment, in front of the plaza, Jiang Pinghui was not in a hurry to enter the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Her beautiful eyes landed on Chu Xiangdi, and she softly said, "Senior brother Chu, is what you said true? Junior sister, when have I ever lied to you? That Zhu Wenlin most likely has a soul secret technique. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to make those 6 cultivators faint on the ground from a distance. Those 6 cultivators' cultivation bases are even higher than Zhu Wenlin's," Chu Xiangdi said with an earnest smile. Jiang Pinghui nodded slightly, but her beautiful eyes landed on Zhu Wenlin, who was not far away. When she saw that Zhu Wenlin was about to enter the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion, she frowned and rushed out to stop Zhu Wenlin. Chu Xiangdi followed behind Jiang Pinghui. His eyes were calm, and no emotions could be seen. Originally, Zhu Wen and Zhu Wenlin planned to enter the Pillar Ray Immortal Monarch Pavilion, but they were quickly stopped by a beautiful figure. Junior sister Jiang? Zhu Wenlin's eyes widened as he stared at the beautiful woman in front of him in disbelief. He didn't expect that Jiang Pinghui would actually find him. This was too unexpected. One had to know that Jiang Pinghui's Pillar Ray talent and beauty were second to none in Pillar Ray Immortal City. Inside the city, countless young prodigies were in love with Jiang Pinghui. Even Chu Xiangdi, who was following behind Jiang Pinghui, was in love with her. Zhu Wenlin was no exception. However, in Zhu Wenlin's opinion, the gap between him and Jiang Pinghui was too big. He didn't even have the courage to get close to Jiang Pinghui, let alone pursue her. He had never hoped that Jiang Pinghui would take the initiative to look for him, because he knew that the probability of this happening was too small. But now, Jiang Pinghui actually took the initiative to look for him. Zhu Wenlin's heart beat very fast, and his face involuntarily turned red. Zhuowen frowned slightly. He glanced at Chu Xiangdi behind Jiang Pinghui and guessed that Jiang Pinghui had come to find Zhu Wenlin for the so-called soul secret technique. Senior brother Zhu, hello. Junior sister has something to ask senior brother Zhu. I wonder if senior brother Zhu has the time? Jiang Pinghui's voice was very gentle, and it made people feel like they were bathed in the spring breeze. Zhu Wenlin laughed foolishly, rubbed his head, and quickly nodded. Junior sister, feel free to ask. As long as senior brother Zhu can do it, I will satisfy you. Zhuowen held his forehead, and he secretly cursed in his heart. This Zhu Wenlin was really a blockhead. Couldn't he see that Jiang Pinghui came to find him for the so-called soul secret technique? Seeing that Zhu Wenlin agreed so readily, Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes flashed, and she said with a charming smile, I heard from senior brother Chu that you have a soul secret technique. Junior sister, recently, my Pillar Ray Dao is about to break through, but my soul secret technique is still lacking. I wonder if senior brother Zhu has the time to let junior sister have a look at the soul secret technique? Senior brother Zhu, don't worry. Junior sister won't take senior brother Zhu for free. I also have a remnant copy of a soul secret technique. I can temporarily leave it with you as a deposit. Jiang Pinghui lowered her posture very low, and her voice was even gentle like the sound of nature. Zhu Wenlin had long been turned numb all over by Jiang Pinghui's voice, his mind wandering. However, when he heard Soul's secret technique, his entire body trembled, and his expression immediately changed. This Soul's secret technique, he definitely did not have it. Even if he wished to take out 100 Soul's secret techniques for Jiang Pinghui, he did not have it either. After all, he did not have this thing. Zhuowen's eyes revealed a look of interest. He was originally planning on letting Zhu Wenlin send this Jiang Pinghui away. But hearing that Jiang Pinghui actually had a remnant copy of a Soul secret technique on her, he was immediately interested. Junior sister Jiang, it's actually like this. Zhu Wenlin was originally planning on refusing, but Zhuowen interrupted him. Senior sister Jiang, I can naturally lend that Soul secret technique to you. Inside here is senior brother Zhu's remnant copy of Soul secret technique. I went to his place to borrow it a few days ago to view it. I want to learn it and haven't returned it to senior brother yet. Zhuowen took out a jade slip and handed it to Jiang Pinghui. This jade slip recorded a portion of the contents of the Soul Sword essence. He had refined it on the spot on purpose. This portion of the contents could only be used for comprehension and could not be cultivated at all. After all, the contents of the jade slip were not complete. No matter how talented Jiang Pinghui was, it was impossible for her to learn the Soul Sword essence through this portion of the contents. Jiang Pinghui took the jade slip and casually scanned it with her divine sense. Immediately, she revealed a look of joy. Although the contents of the Soul Sword essence in the jade slip Zhuowen gave her were incomplete, it was very beneficial for her to comprehend and perfect her soul. Thank you. Jiang Pinghui thanked Zhuowen, took out a jade slip, and handed it to Zhu Wenlin, saying, "This is the Soul secret technique that I obtained. Senior brother Zhu, please take a look at it." Obviously, Jiang Pinghui did not take Zhuowen seriously. In her opinion, Zhuowen might be Zhuowen's servant, so she did not waste time talking nonsense with him. Zhu Wenlin took the jade slip and hurriedly waved his hand, saying, "I trust junior sister Jiang. There is no need to check it." Zhuowen's forehead was full of black lines. This Zhu Wenlin was too unreliable. He was not prepared to check it. Fortunately, Zhuowen's soul was strong. After checking the contents of the jade slip in Zhu Wenlin's hand and confirming that it was indeed the contents of some soul secret technique, he withdrew his divine sense. Thank you, senior brother Zhu. I will enter the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion first. Jiang Pinghui smiled sweetly, turned around, and entered the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. Chu Xiangdi followed closely behind. Brother Zhu, we can go now. Zhuowen patted Zhu Wenlin's shoulder. Only then did the latter come to his senses and scratch his head in embarrassment. Master, this jade slip is for you. Zhu Wenlin transmitted his voice to Zhuowen, and secretly passed the jade slip that Jiang Pinghui gave him to Zhuowen. Zhuowen took the jade slip without batting an eyelid and entered the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion with Zhu Wenlin. Although there were many people in the square, the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion was not small. Therefore, all the participants in the grand competition of the Immortal City in the square quickly entered the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. Yu Jinghuan kept the array flag, and the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion's door closed again. The surrounding array rippled, and the grand array overlapped. At the same time, many light spots began to appear on the first floor of the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. These light spots were like stars, constantly flickering and moving inside. Chapter 3496. Strange Light Spots. Great Elder, Jiang Pinghui is the most likely person to reach the top among all the people who have entered the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. Let me congratulate you in advance. The second elder, Gong Yushu, who was standing beside Yu Jinghuan, laughed heartily as he cupped his fists at Yu Jinghuan. The other elders also congratulated Yu Jinghuan in advance. They all thought highly of Jiang Pinghui. After all, she was the best in alchemy array among the younger generation. Second elder, your disciple, Chu Xiangdi, is not bad either. I remember that his alchemy array skills have reached the peak of the creation grade not long ago. He is not weaker than Pinghui. Yu Jinghuan shook his head. Although he said that, his face was filled with gratification. Xiangdi's talent is not bad, but compared to Pinghui, he is still lacking. Great Elder, you don't have to thank me, Gong Yushu said with a faint smile. Yu Jinghuan did not say anything. His gaze fell on the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. He had already noticed that 2 light spots had entered the 2nd level. That's fast. It hasn't been long and 2 people have already entered the 2nd level. They should be Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi, Gong Yushu said with a smile. Yu Jinghuan nodded with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Jiang Pinghui was his favorite student, and the better the latter performed, the brighter his face would be. At the same time, the light spots on the 1st level disappeared and a few rays of light appeared in the square. Those who had been eliminated were sent out of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. As time passed, the number of people who were sent out gradually increased. The moment Zhuowen entered the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial, he felt his body sink. A blazing white light rushed toward him, causing him to be unable to open his eyes. After his eyes had adjusted to the white light, Zhuowen could see his surroundings clearly. What appeared in front of him was a huge pavilion. Inside, there were rows of bookshelves. The bookshelves were made of white jade and they emitted a crystal-clear light. They were bright and dazzling. Books were neatly arranged on the bookshelves. Zhuowen casually browsed through and discovered that these records were all related to alchemy formations. The pavilion was very spacious and bright, but Zhuowen was surprised to find that he was the only one in such a large space, and there was no one else around. But how was that possible? So many people had gone in, and the pavilion should have been filled with people. However, after he entered, he was the only one there. Hey! Zhuowen suddenly discovered that a book on the bookshelf in front of him had disappeared into thin air. After a while, one of the books on the other bookshelf disappeared, and he sensed the energy ripples of the array breaking. In other words, the restriction on the bookshelf had been broken right before his eyes, but there was no one in front of him. So that's how it is. You used formations to set up so many parallel spaces? Everyone who enters the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion will enter a corresponding parallel space, and the books in these parallel spaces are shared. Zhuowen came to a realization. It was because of the countless parallel spaces set up by the Array Dao, and because the books on the bookshelf were shared, that the books on the bookshelf in front of him had disappeared into thin air. To be more precise, they did not disappear into thin air. Instead, a cultivator from another parallel space had broken the restriction on the bookshelf and taken away these books. Zhuowen walked around and discovered that the books on the 1st floor were more basic and shallow. Even if he studied them, they would not be of much use to him. He only had the opportunity to obtain those 3 books. Among them, the True Pill Array Records and the 6 Desires Spirit Congealing Sage Pill Recipe were things he had to obtain. Moreover, these 2 books were very precious and were at the top of the pavilion. Zhuowen found a staircase in the corner. However, there was a restriction on the staircase. If he wanted to go up the staircase, he had to break the restriction. The restriction on the 1st floor was not strong. To Zhuowen, it could be easily torn apart. Zhuowen went up level by level. Soon, he arrived at the 20th floor. The books on the 20th floor were beginning to be interesting. At least, it had already aroused Zhuowen's interest. Not enough. Zhuowen shook his head and continued to climb up the stairs. He was very clear that if he wanted to find a book that was useful to him, he would have to go at least above the 60th floor. Following that, Zhuowen quickly went up, almost without stopping. Hey! Great Elder, there is a light spot that is extremely fast. It instantly surpassed the first 2 light spot. Who is this light spot? Outside the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, an elder in the elder group pointed at an inconspicuous light spot that surpassed the 2 light spots that represented Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. The light spots represented by Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi were originally far ahead. At this moment, they had already reached the 45th floor. However, this 3rd light spot was very strange. In just 10 breaths of time, it actually went from the 20th floor to the 46th floor. It was 1 floor higher than Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. Great Elder Yu Jinghuan also noticed this light spot. He frowned and said in a low voice, "This is really strange. There is actually someone who is faster than Jiang Pinghui and Xiangdi. This kind of guy, in the Pillaray Immortal City, is definitely not a nobody. Why have I never heard of him?" Yu Jinghuan thought for a while but still could not figure out the identity of this light spot. In his opinion, among the younger generation in the Pillaray Immortal City, Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi were the most outstanding. The rest of the younger generation were still lacking. Let's wait and see. Who knows, this light spot might be Jiang Pinghui. Gong Yushu laughed. Second Elder is right. This person might be Jiang Pinghui or Xiangdi. Previously, he might have stayed below for too long. Now, he suddenly increased his speed. Yu Jinghuan also agreed. He also thought that in the Pillaray Immortal City, there would suddenly appear a Dark Horse level junior who could surpass Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. Look, that light spot actually went up 20 floors in just 10 breaths of time. It actually reached the 66th floor. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. Yu Jinghuan and Gong Yushu's body trembled. They quickly looked over and saw that the strange light spot had indeed reached the 66th floor. Moreover, it was still climbing. In just a short while, it had already reached the 70th floor. The two light spots closest to this light spot were still at the 50th floor. There was a difference of 20 floors. This difference was too obvious. Yu Jinghuan frowned. The higher the floor of the Pillaray Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, the more terrifying the restrictions were. The restrictions on the 70th floor were already very terrifying. With Jiang Pinghui's level, it was actually a bit difficult for her to reach the 70th floor. Could it be that this light spot is really not Jiang Pinghui? Chapter 3497. Doubt, is it the 70th floor already? Zhuowen tore open the seal on the 69th floor and walked up to the 70th floor. He found that there were far fewer bookshelves on this floor. There were only a few bookshelves in the vast space. However, the bookshelves on this floor were made of high-quality materials. They were sparkling and translucent, as if they were forged from some kind of extremely precious jade. Zhuowen began to use his divine will to browse. He found that the level of books on this floor was very high. Basically, they were all at the ascension level. Of course, most of them were at the early stage of the ascension level, as well as some high-grade pill recipes. Zhuowen retracted his divine will, a look of regret in his eyes. He did not find the recipe for the 6 Desires Spirit Condensation Saint pill on this floor. There are still 11 floors left. The recipe for the 6 Desires Spirit Condensation Saint pill should be on one of the next 11 floors. Zhuowen muttered to himself. He came to the stairs leading to the 71st floor, but he soon stopped. His expression became very serious. He found that in addition to the seal on the stairs, there was a very powerful sealing power. This sealing power was very strong. It was at the late stage of the ascension level. It was impossible for an ordinary divine formation master to break it. What's going on? Why is there an additional sealing power on the stairs? And this sealing power is so strong. Zhuowen frowned. He found it a little hard to believe. He had a feeling that this sealing power was deliberately set up here. The purpose was to tell those who entered that the next floors were forbidden to enter. Haha, only the 70th floor is open? It's a pity that my target is the last floor. Zhuowen sneered. He took out several beast bone formation discs and began to break the sealing power on the stairs. The sealing power of the late stage of the ascension level was nothing to him. After all, his formation Dao had reached the half-step heaven breaker level. Crack. After a while, the sealing power shattered. Zhuowen put away the beast bone formation discs and tore them apart. The sealing power on the stairs collapsed inch by inch. Zhuowen took a step forward and climbed up the stairs, entering the 71st floor. Yu Jinghuan frowned slightly, but her gaze was fixed on the light spot on the 70th level of the Pillaray Immortal Monarch Pavilion. He suspected that this dot of light might not be his disciple, Jiang Pinghui. But if it was not Jiang Pinghui, then who could it be? Grand Elder, congratulations. Ping Hui really hid her strength well. Her alchemy skills had actually reached such a terrifying level. She must have already broken through to the ascending heaven level. Such a young heaven ascending Pill Array Grandmaster is rarely seen in our Pill Array Immortal City in 10,000 years. Gong Yushu smiled. He had no doubt that the light on the 70th floor was Jiang Pinghui, who was congratulating Yu Jinghuan. The other members of the elder group also followed suit, praising Jiang Pinghui's extraordinary talent and her future achievements. However, there was only one person in the Council of Elders who narrowed his eyes as he stared at the light of the 70th level. He seemed to be in a daze, and his eyes were filled with worry. This person was Bu Yang Rong. Among them, he was the only one who knew that the speck of light did not represent Jiang Pinghui, but Zhuo Wen. He had already experienced Zhuo Wen's alchemy skills. It was definitely above his, and at least at the ascending heaven level. It could be said that Zhuo Wen was the genius with the highest alchemy skills among all the participants in the grand competition of the Immortal City. However, he could not say it, nor did he dare to say it. He could only watch silently. He was really worried that Zhuo Wen would reach the highest level and obtain the true alchemy array record. If that happened, then it would be really troublesome. Even the Immortal City Lord would be alarmed. That Zhuo Wen should not be able to reach the highest level. No matter how strong his alchemy skills are, can he be like the Immortal City Lord, whose alchemy skills are half a step into the ascending heaven level? Bu Yang Rong shook his head and relaxed a little. He did not think that Zhuo Wen had the strength to reach the final level. As long as the true alchemy array record was not affected, then Zhuo Wen's performance would at most shock the entire Immortal City. It would not attract the Immortal City Lord's attention. At that time, this Zhuo Wen would not blame him and would leave the alchemy array Dao domain. Then, he and Zhu Wenlin would be truly free. If it's really Pinghui, then it's naturally for the best. If it's other young geniuses, then it's our Immortal City's fortune to have such a monstrous genius appear. Yu Jinghuan's words were very beautiful, and many of the surrounding elders nodded repeatedly. However, this light spot should have reached the peak, and it's unlikely that it will continue to rise. The Immortal City Lord has only opened the 70th level to the public. After the 70th level, basically no one can crack it and enter. Yu Jinghuan continued. His gaze was very calm as he spoke with assurance. Grand Elder, are you sure that the 70th level has been sealed by the Immortal City Lord? Suddenly, Gong Yushu's expression froze, and his gaze was very strange as he asked. Yu Jinghuan did not see the strange expression on Gong Yushu's face and said with some displeasure, "This is what the Immortal City Lord personally told me. Could it be false?" Gong Yushu smiled bitterly and pointed at the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Grand Elder, look over there. That light spot is moving again. Moving again? Did he go down? Yu Jinghuan turned his head and looked at the 70th level of the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Very quickly, he was stunned. That light spot was indeed not on the 70th level, but it was not on the 69th level either. It was on the 71st level. In other words, the owner of the light spot had broken through the restrictions on the 70th level stairs and entered the 71st level. This fellow entered the 71st level? Yu Jinghuan was dumbstruck. He was truly shocked. He was very clear that after the 70th level, every level had an additional type of sealing power in addition to the ordinary restrictions. Moreover, the higher the level, the more terrifying the sealing power was. For example, the sealing power on the stairs to the 71st level was already at the late-stage heaven ascension level. The following levels would only be more terrifying. But now, this light spot had actually entered the 71st level. It was obvious that he had broken through the sealing power. Didn't that mean that the cultivator represented by this light spot was at least at the late-stage heaven ascension level? This was even higher than many of the elders in the elder group. Grand Elder, Pinghui's alchemy array skills have increased too quickly. He has already reached the late-stage heaven ascension level. Gong Yushu also found it unbelievable. He licked his lips and asked somewhat embarrassedly. This light spot is not Pinghui. Pinghui's alchemy array skills are indeed very strong, But he is only at the peak of the creation level. He has not reached the heaven ascension level. There is no way he could have broken through the sealing power on the 70th level, Yu Jinghuan said with certainty. Gong Yushu smiled bitterly and did not say anything. He actually did not believe that this light spot was Jiang Pinghui, let alone Chu Xiangdi. Who is this person? Yu Jinghuan narrowed his eyes. He was really curious about who this light spot that had suddenly appeared was. Just who was this person? How could his array skills be so high? With this level of skill, even in the alchemy array immortal city, he could be ranked at the peak. Grand Elder, that light spot has already entered the 72nd level. Gong Yushu licked his lips and smiled bitterly. Chapter 3498. Finding the elixir formula on the 75th floor, there were only 5 bookshelves. All the books were at the middle stage of the heavenly ascension level and were extraordinary. However, Zhuowen did not care about them. Moreover, there was no elixir formula for the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir on this floor. Zhuowen continued to move forward. He had to admit that the sealing power on each floor was more terrifying than the previous one. When Zhuowen reached the 79th floor, the sealing power had reached the peak of the heavenly ascension level. After Zhuowen broke through the sealing power, he jumped to the 80th floor. The space on the 80th floor was not as big as the previous floors. There was only one bookshelf, which was made of some kind of precious golden jade. There were not many books on the bookshelf. There were only a few dozen books. However, every book was at the peak of the heavenly ascension level. If they were in the outside world, they would be treasures that people would fight over. Most of the books here were about elixir formulas. Only a few of them were about array formation. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. He saw a familiar elixir formula on the left side of the bookshelf. It was the elixir formula for the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir that he had been looking for. Zhuowen was delighted. He started to break the restriction on the surface of the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir. The restriction was not strong. It was only at the peak of the heavenly ascension level. Zhuowen did not spend too much time to break the restriction on the surface of the elixir formula. When he got the elixir formula, he was overjoyed. He knew that with the elixir formula, Moyan Wushang could be saved. After all, he had gathered all the ingredients for the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir. Now, all that was left was the steps to make the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir. Zhuowen kept the elixir formula solemnly and looked at the stairs in the corner. He knew that the stairs were the last obstacle to the 81st floor of the elixir array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. On the last floor, there was the remnant of the true elixir array record. Zhuowen wasn't in a hurry to enter the last level. Instead, he carefully read through the other books on the bookshelf. He chose a book called The True Explanation of the Alchemy Tao of Past Generations of Immortal City Lords. Zhuowen's alchemy Tao was still a bit away from breaking through to the half-step heaven breaker tier. He urgently needed more complete alchemy Tao manuals for him to comprehend and break through. And this book just so happened to satisfy his requirements. He knew that the past lords of Immortal City were all pill formation grandmasters who were half a step into the heaven breaker realm. The quintessent scriptures they wrote would definitely be of great benefit to him. After taking the 2 books, Zhuowen walked to the stairs. Half-step heaven breaker sealing power. Zhuowen stood at the top of the stairs and carefully observed the sealing power covering the stairs. His eyes revealed a look of surprise. It seemed like the Immortal City Lord attached great importance to the true pill formation record on the last floor. He actually set up a half-step heaven breaker seal here. It could be said that he had put in a lot of effort. Zhuowen's eyes were very serious as he examined the seal. He discovered that the Immortal City Lord's level was even higher than his. If he wanted to break through this seal, he would most likely need to spend a lot of time and effort to do so. Zhuowen took out the beast bone formation disc and began to crack the seal. At the same time, he threw the quintessent scriptures of the past lords of Immortal City to his clone in the Great World to study. He hoped that he could gain inspiration from this book and find an opportunity to break through his alchemy Tao level. Just as Zhuoan was in the process of cracking the seal, the outside of the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's pavilion was very lively. Cultivators were constantly being teleported out of the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's pavilion. The originally spacious square began to appear a little crowded at this moment. Most of the cultivators who were teleported out of the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's pavilion immediately focused their attention on the light spot on the 80th floor. Heavens, who the hell is this person? He actually made it to the 80th floor. He's simply a god. It might be Jiang Pinghui. She's the strongest genius of the younger generation in our Pill Formation Immortal City. Other than her, I really can't think of anyone else. Even if it's that Jiang Pinghui, that's still a little exaggerated. Since the beginning of time, there have only been 2 people who have the ability to reach the 80th floor. One is the Lord of the Immortal City, and the other is the Great Elder of the Immortal City. It's impossible for there to be such a genius in the younger generation. Everyone was discussing animatedly, guessing the identity of the light spot on the 80th floor. Zhu Wenlin was mixed in with the crowd. His expression was somewhat complicated. He knew that the light spot on the 80th floor was Zhuoan. He had already tried his best to overestimate Zhuoan, but he still did not expect that Zhuoan would be so strong to be able to reach the 80th floor. At this moment, there were only 3 light spots left in the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's pavilion. Other than the high and mighty light spot on the 80th floor, there were 2 light spots below. One was around the 50th floor, and the other was around the 45th floor. Suddenly, the light spot on the 45th floor disappeared and a teleportation light appeared. Everyone's gaze involuntarily fell on the teleportation light. When the light faded, everyone realized that it was Chu Xiangdi. Chu Xiangdi's eyes were filled with excitement. He should have found a suitable manual in the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's pavilion. Chu Xiangdi walked to Gong Yushu's side. His gaze fell on the 50th floor of the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's pavilion. He smiled and said, as expected of junior sister Jiang, she can actually reach the 50th floor. The first place in this competition will definitely belong to her. Gong Yushu sighed softly and said, Xiangdi, look at the 80th floor. Jiang Pinghui won't be the first place in this competition. Chu Xiangdi was stunned and subconsciously raised his head to look at the 80th floor. He also saw a flickering light spot there. It was like a star. Someone entered the 80th floor. Who is it? Chu Xiangdi's eyes widened in disbelief. He could not help but exclaim. Gong Yushu shook his head and said, I'm not sure either. We can't think of it. Now we can only wait. When the light spot on the 80th floor appears, we will know the true identity of this person. Suddenly, the entire square was in an uproar. It was very noisy, like a roaring wave. That light spot has entered the 81st floor. My God, this is too unbelievable. In the square, it was unknown who said this sentence, but it attracted the attention of countless people. Then, the entire square quieted down. When the elders saw this scene, they all sucked in a breath of cold air and became mute in an instant. Yu Jinghuan's body trembled. He stared at the light spot on the 81st floor. He opened his mouth but could not say anything. He was too shocked. He was shocked. Bu Yang Rong, who was in the elders group, was extremely pale. He thought to himself, it's over. When the square fell into silence, standing in the center of the Pill Formation Immortal City, in the deepest part of the huge Pill Formation building, a man in a long robe suddenly opened his eyes. In his eyes, there seemed to be an endless sea, mysterious and deep. Someone actually reached the last floor. How did this person do it? I need to go and take a look. Chapter 3499. Pill Array True Record Remnant. At this moment, there was a huge crowd in the square outside the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. However, at that moment, the enormous plaza that was filled with countless people was extremely quiet. In fact, it was so quiet that it was strange. Their actions were in sync as they stared at the light spot on the 81st floor of the Pavilion of Alchemy Array Immortal. They were dumbstruck and did not move an inch. Whoosh! A terrifying piercing sound broke the strange silence in the square. A middle-aged man in a long robe appeared in front of the pavilion of the Pillar Celestial as if he had teleported. His appearance was very ordinary, but his eyes were extremely deep, as if they contained a vast sea of stars. The arrival of the middle-aged man immediately attracted everyone's attention. The great elder of the celestial city narrowed his eyes and quickly stepped forward. He bowed respectfully and said, "Yu Jinghuan greets the master of the celestial city." After Yu Jinghuan said that, the group of elders behind him stepped forward and bowed as well. Everyone in the square gasped. They did not expect the master of the celestial city, who had been in seclusion, to come out of seclusion. Did he come specifically for the cultivator on the top floor of the pavilion of the Pillar Celestial? Duan Chengyaro glanced at Yu Jinghuan and pointed at the light spot on the 81st floor. He asked, "Great Elder, who is this person?" Yu Jinghuan's eyes flickered and he blushed. He said, "Master of the Celestial City, actually, I don't know who this person is. He seems to have appeared out of nowhere." "You don't know?" Duan Chengyaro frowned and his magnetic voice was slightly displeased. Yu Jinghuan's face turned even redder. As the great elder of the Celestial City and the host of the grand competition, it was embarrassing that he did not know who the contestant was. "Forget it. When this person is teleported out, we will know who he is." Duan Chengyaro waved his hand and did not dwell on this matter. He walked to the side of the pavilion of the Pillar Celestial and looked at the light spot on the top floor as if he was in deep thought. No one in the group of elders dared to disturb him. Everyone in the square was afraid of Duan Chengyao's power and did not dare to make a noise. The surroundings were even quieter than before. At this moment, the light spot on the 50th floor disappeared and a teleportation light appeared in front of the pavilion of the Pillar Celestial. The light disappeared and a figure she was Jiang Pinghui. Jiang Pinghui was calm. Translation. 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 She knew that she was the grand competition of the celestial city. Moreover, her harvest this time was quite bountiful. The 3 ancient books she found were of great help to her. She walked to Yu Jinghuan's side and immediately noticed that the atmosphere was a little strange. This was because she realized that her master's expression was rather reserved. Even when he saw her come out, there was only a forced smile on his face. His smile was very forced. Soon after, Jiang Pinghui noticed the figure beside the Pillar Immortal Monarch's pavilion who was looking up at the top of the pavilion. "Master! Master!" Jiang Pinghui's pupils shrank in shock. She couldn't help but murmur softly. Didn't they say that the master of the Celestial City was not going to host the grand competition of the Celestial City? Why did he appear now? Duan Chengyaro ignored Jiang Pinghui. His gaze was still on the light spot on the 81st floor of the pavilion of the Pillar Celestial. He was in deep thought. Who was it that had the ability to enter the top floor? He was the only one in the entire Pillar Celestial City who had the ability to do so. Even great elder Yu Jinghuan did not have the ability. But now, there was one more person. Since this person could participate in the grand competition of the Celestial City, he must be very young. "Master, what's going on? Why is the master of the Celestial City here? I'm the last one to come out. The grand competition should have ended." Jiang Pinghui felt that the atmosphere was strange. Logically speaking, since she was the winner of this year's competition, everyone should be cheering and celebrating. The entire square should be in an uproar. But now, the atmosphere was too quiet. After she came out, not many people paid attention to her. Jiang Pinghui was bewildered. Yu Jinghuan saw Jiang Pinghui's strange expression and smiled bitterly. "Pinghui, do you think you're first in the grand competition?" Jiang Pinghui frowned and said, "Am I not?" Yu Jinghuan smiled bitterly and pointed at the top floor of the pavilion of the Pillar Celestial. "Look there." Jiang Pinghui looked up. She noticed that there was a light spot on the 81st floor of the pavilion of the Pillar Celestial. The light spot was shining like a star. Someone reached the top floor? How is this possible? Jiang Pinghui's body froze. Her mouth was slightly open. She did not know what to say. She was in disbelief. The top floor of the pavilion of the Pil Array Celestial had terrifying restrictions. Only the master of the Celestial City had the ability to enter. Even her master did not have the ability to do so. But among the participants this time, there was such a person. She could not imagine. Jiang Pinghui sighed and said faintly, "The Pil Array Celestial City is really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. I have always thought of myself as the first in the younger generation. Now, it seems like it's really laughable. Master, who is this person? His Pil Array level is probably higher than yours." Yu Jinghuan was a little embarrassed and smiled. "Actually, I'm not sure. We can't confirm the identity of this light spot. We can only recognize him after he is sent out." Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes revealed a strange expression. Even her master did not know who this person was. This was too strange. Jiang Pinghui did not ask anymore. She looked at the light spot on the top floor. She was looking forward to the moment when this person was sent out. She did not know who he was. At the stairs of the pavilion of the Pil Array Celestial, a figure slowly walked up. The restriction on the top floor is really terrifying. I spent a tremendous amount of effort to barely break the restriction and come up here, Zhuowen muttered to himself. He stood at the entrance of the stairs and looked at the last floor. He realized that the environment of the last floor was like an ordinary loft. There were wooden pillars and windows around it. There were also desks, chairs, and various other items. It was like a quiet study room. The most eye-catching thing was the sandalwood bookshelf in the corner of the study room. The bookshelf was not big and there was only one level. On the bookshelf, there was a broken ancient book floating. The ancient book was covered in a yellow and white color. It was emitting a faint light. The True Pil Array Records broken book. Zhuowen's eyes lit up when he saw the broken book. He was filled with excitement. He was very familiar with this ancient book. He also had a part of the broken book. The aura of the two was almost the same. What a powerful restriction. Chapter 3500. Breakthrough in Alchemy. Dao He discovered that the restrictions on the True Alchemy Array Record were even more powerful than the restrictions on the stairs. Moreover, there wasn't just one type of restriction here. There were many types, and they were almost layered together to form an extremely complicated net of restrictions. Every restriction in this group of restrictions was of a very high level. They were all half a step into the Heaven Breaker tier. The combination of so many half-step Heaven Breaker level restrictions was very terrifying and complicated. Zhuowen felt slightly helpless. He knew that if he wanted to completely break through the restrictions on this place, he would probably need more than a month. However, Zhuowen wasn't discouraged. There was no time limit for this competition, and the teleportation conditions were to obtain 3 books or fail to break the formation. Therefore, he wasn't worried about not having enough time. Zhuowen sat down cross-legged, took out the beast bone formation disc, and began to focus on breaking the formation. He had a feeling that if he succeeded in deciphering this complex restriction group, it would be of great benefit to his Array Dao level, and it would definitely improve rapidly. Time gradually passed, and in the blink of an eye, 1.5 months had passed. During this 1.5 months, Zhuowen had basically been breaking the restrictions on the True Alchemy Array Record. Suddenly, Zhuowen's eyes lit up, and excitement appeared on his face. The restriction in front of him began to fluctuate violently, and the layers of restrictions began to ripple violently. Zhuowen knew that the restriction was about to be broken. Crack. Finally, a loud cracking sound appeared in front of him. The complex restriction around the True Alchemy Array Record began to collapse, and finally completely shattered, revealing the true appearance of the True Alchemy Array Record. This remnant scroll looked very damaged, but when Zhuowen touched it, he felt like he was touching a high-quality cloth, and he couldn't bear to part with it. Zhuowen suppressed his excitement and held the remnant scroll in his hand. At the same time, he took out the True Alchemy Array Record that he had obtained before. When the True Alchemy Array Record and the remnant scroll came close, they emitted a platinum light. Then, the 2 scrolls began to float, and finally came close to each other. The moment they came together, the light was so dazzling that Zhuowen couldn't open his eyes. After a while, the light faded, and a brand new book floated in front of him. It was the complete True Alchemy Array record. Zhuowen received the True Alchemy Array record, and his body trembled with excitement. He had finally obtained the complete True Alchemy Array record. This also meant that he would obtain the complete inheritance of the Alchemy Array Celestial Lord. Why haven't I been teleported out? Zhuowen suddenly thought of something, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. He had already obtained 3 books, and according to the rules of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, he should have been teleported out. But now, the teleportation power didn't move at all. Could it be because this is the last level? Zhuowen thought in his heart, but he couldn't hide his excitement. If this was really the reason, then wouldn't he be able to stay here for as long as he wanted? Zhuowen didn't think about anything else, and he began to read the True Alchemy Array record. Gradually, he became engrossed. Zhuowen flipped through the pages of the True Alchemy Array record, and the tadpole-like words reflected in Zhuowen's eyes. Soon, Zhuowen entered a state of enlightenment. Ever since Zhuowen's divine soul merged with the primordial stone, his perception was too terrifying. His cultivation speed was unbelievably fast. Zhuowen first comprehended the Alchemy Tao. As he read the True Alchemy Array record, he also combined it with the True Alchemy Array record with the past immortal city lords. His Alchemy Tao level rose rapidly. 10 days later, Zhuowen's eyes were closed, but he had already taken out the Emperor Pill Furnace and a pile of herbs. Moreover, these herbs were all peak ascending grade divine herbs. If they were placed outside, it would cause countless experts to fight over them. Zhuowen's eyes were still closed. He was still in a state of enlightenment, but he began to refine pills. He wanted to refine a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill. Zhuowen threw precious divine herbs into the Emperor Pill Furnace. He also ignited the divine flame and began to refine pills. F***ck, is this kid crazy? Why did he put so many godly herbs in the sovereign pill furnace? My God, these are all peak ascending heaven's godly herbs. They're priceless. This brat is throwing them out like trash. He's trying to anger me to death. The pill sovereign turtle had already come out of the Emperor Pill Furnace. He gritted his teeth as he watched Zhuowen refine pills. His eyes were filled with hatred. He felt that Zhuowen was wasting God's resources. He threw all kinds of divine herbs into the Emperor Pill Furnace without classifying them. This wasn't refining pills at all. This was more like eating hot pot. Hey! Wait, why hasn't the Emperor Pill Furnace exploded yet? It's even releasing such a rich fragrance. I've never heard of this fragrance before. Could this guy really be refining a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill? The pill sovereign turtle was quickly attracted by the fragrance of the divine herbs in the Emperor Pill Furnace. Soon, he came back to his senses and had a guess. Hey, this kid is really not an ordinary person. I didn't misjudge him. He's a person who will achieve great things. After he refines a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill, I can only take one as interest. I've lived for so long, but I've never eaten a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill. The pill sovereign turtle rubbed his hands. His saliva was flowing non-stop. It almost gathered into a small stream under his feet. Zhuowen was in an epiphany. Naturally, he didn't know what the pill sovereign turtle was thinking. In this state of enlightenment, Zhuowen's alchemy techniques were almost perfect, without any mistakes. 5 days and 5 nights later, terrifying rays of light erupted from the Emperor Pill Furnace, accompanied by an extremely rich fragrance. Bang! The lid of the furnace flew up, and 20 rays of light erupted from the furnace. If one looked closely, one would see the embryonic forms of babies in the 20 rays of light. They were very spiritual. The divine pills are done. Haha, divine pill babies, wait for me. The pill sovereign turtle's saliva flowed into a straight line. He directly pounced on the nearest divine pill. However, he had just come into contact with this divine pill when a terrifying ray of light erupted from the surface of the divine pill. It directly blasted the pill sovereign turtle away. Out. It hurts. The pill sovereign turtle crashed onto the ground. His head was dizzy, and his limbs were in the air. He couldn't even get up. At this moment, Zhuowen's eyes were still closed. However, his hands reached out. Like lightning, they transformed into afterimages in midair. Those 20 rays of light that flew out were all caught in Zhuowen's palm. Although these rays of light resisted fiercely, Zhuowen's suppression was even more terrifying. They couldn't struggle at all. Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes and put these 20 divine pills into a jade bottle. My alchemy skills have finally caught up with my array skills. I've advanced to the half-step heaven-breaking grade. A hint of a smile appeared at the corners of Zhuowen's mouth. He actually didn't have a half-step heaven-breaking grade pill recipe. Just now, when he refined the half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill, he completely relied on his alchemy intuition. He used the medicinal properties of the divine pills to explore and refine it himself. This divine pill could be said to be self-created by Zhuowen. He didn't even know what the effects of this half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill that he occasionally refined were. Chapter 3501. Peak of the First Decay. Brat. The divine pill you refined just now, could it be a half-step breaking heaven divine pill? The pill emperor turtle hurriedly came over, drooling all over its chin as it asked. Zhuowen shrugged, and said, "My luck was better just now. I indeed refined a half-step breaking heaven divine pill. Then haven't you already advanced to a half-step breaking heaven alchemist?" The pill emperor turtle asked incredulously. "What do you think?" Zhuowen said with a faint smile. He. As expected of the person that I, Lord Turtle, think highly of, your talent is indeed extraordinary. The pill emperor turtle rubbed its hands, and continued, "That. Brat, don't you think you should take out a divine pill to give to me as interest?" The pill emperor turtle's eyes were full of hope, and its drool flowed even more crazily. Zhuowen looked at the pill emperor turtle somewhat amusedly, took out a divine pill from the jade bottle, and handed it to the pill emperor turtle. One had to admit that this divine pill was indeed very extraordinary. The moment Zhuowen took out the divine pill, the surface of the divine pill erupted with multicolored light. And Zhuowen also noticed that the multicolored light erupting from the surface of the divine pill was actually the embryonic form of an infant, and it was very intelligent. Moreover, after this divine pill was taken out of the jade bottle, it actually planned to escape. If not for Zhuowen's strength being strong enough, this divine pill really might have escaped. The pill emperor turtle immediately took the divine pill, and had long been unable to hold back, and swallowed this divine pill into its stomach. Zhuowen silently looked at the pill emperor turtle, sizing it up very carefully. This half-step breaking heaven divine pill was completely in an epiphany, and it was a new divine pill that was refined according to the combination of various divine medicines' medicinal properties. He did not know the specific medicinal properties. Now that the pill emperor turtle had swallowed it, he could carefully observe the specific medicinal properties of this divine pill. The poor pill emperor turtle thought that it had taken a great advantage, but it did not know that it had already become Zhuowen's lab rat. Blazing multicolored light surged out of the pill emperor turtle's body, as if its entire body had turned into light. Zhuowen clearly saw that the pill emperor turtle's body was actually expelling many impurities, and the pill emperor turtle's body's meridians and physique actually improved greatly. Phew! This divine pill was truly miraculous. It actually gave Lord Tortoise the feeling of being reborn. Even I didn't expect my cultivation to improve so much. The alchemy emperor turtle's face was filled with pleasant surprise. It was so comfortable that it kept crying out. The multicolored light that erupted from its body became even more intense, like a small sun. At this moment, the pill emperor turtle seemed to have undergone some sort of sublimation. Its aura was also growing stronger. Zhuowen was pleasantly surprised. This was a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill that he had accidentally refined, and it actually had such a powerful rebirth effect. Isn't this a little too beneficial for cultivation? This pill will be called the rebirth pill from now on. Zhuowen smiled. Although the complete True Pill Array record contained many recipes for half-step heaven-breaking divine pills, the True Pill Array record didn't contain any of them. However, this rebirth pill was created by him after all, and it had an undeniable symbolic meaning. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. He took out a rebirth pill and swallowed it. Instantly, multicolored light erupted from his body, and a strong energy surged between his mouth and nose. This energy was simply too refreshing. It followed his meridians and circulated throughout his body, sweeping away all the impurities and hidden dangers in his body and excreting them. After a while, black impurities appeared on Zhuowen's body. It was very strong, and it even smelled a little fishy. The powerful medicinal power of the rebirth pill was completely integrated into Zhuowen's body, causing Zhuowen's energy level to constantly soar, reaching a very high level. Zhuowen immediately activated the primordial chant. Purple light surrounded his body, and his figure flickered. He quickly refined the surging medicinal power in his body and converted it into broken divine power. Boom! Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from Zhuowen's body. His aura soared to a certain extent, and with the help of the rapid medicinal power, he directly broke through from the middle stage of the first heaven's decay to the late stage of the first heaven's decay. Zhuowen was still circulating the primordial chant, and he didn't have any intention of stopping. He took out another divine pill and swallowed it without any hesitation. He began to madly absorb the medicinal power to cultivate. This was a rare opportunity. He planned to use the rebirth pill to increase the cultivation level of his human body again. After all, with his comprehension ability, there weren't many bottlenecks before he broke through the heavens. Previously, he had slowed down his cultivation mainly to give himself enough time to consolidate his cultivation base. Now that he had gained some enlightenment again, he naturally planned to break through again. Zhuowen's body was shrouded in purple light, and his aura rapidly soared. Zhuowen discovered that after swallowing the first divine pill, the effects of the second one weren't as good as the first one. He didn't hesitate to take out 3 more divine pills. He activated the primordial chant to quickly absorb the medicinal power of the divine pills and replenish the energy in his body. The rate at which his aura soared instantly increased. Looks like it's still not enough. Zhuowen's brows furrowed slightly. He discovered that 5 divine pills were still not enough to break through to the peak of the first heaven's decay. Helplessly, he poured out 4 more divine pills from the jade bottle and swallowed them at the same time. His body erupted with a bright light that was too dazzling to look at. Several hours later, the light around Zhuowen's body gradually dimmed, but his aura had reached the peak. Then, there was a loud explosion in his body. He finally succeeded in breaking through to the peak of the first heaven's decay. Zhuowen's aura was very terrifying. His long hair fluttered, and he was like a demon god that had descended to the world. Phew! I've successfully broken through. The corners of Zhuowen's mouth curled up in excitement. He originally wanted to continue breaking through and directly break through to the second heaven's decay in one go. However, he discovered that the effect of the rebirth pill on him had become negligible. He knew that his body had already developed a resistance to the rebirth pill. Even if he swallowed all the remaining rebirth pills, he wouldn't be able to break through again. Unless he had other half-step heaven-breaking divine pills or higher-grade divine pills, he wouldn't be able to break through again. Zhuowen took out the pill formula for the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill and hesitated. He was hesitating whether he should refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill now. After leaving here, I'll find a quiet place to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill. Zhuowen finally put away the pill formula. He didn't plan to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill here. He knew that with his current level of alchemy, it was too easy to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill. The reason why he hesitated was mainly because he wasn't prepared enough to face Moyan Wushang, who was about to wake up. There was no doubt that Moyan Wushang had sacrificed too much for Zhuowen during his time on the Heavenly Armor planet. Later, because of Zhuowen, he had become like this. Later, when Zhuowen found Mu Chunxue was also moved. She had already said that Moyan Wushang's feelings for Zhuowen were too deep. In addition, Moyen Wushang was originally a good sister of Mu Chunxue. Therefore, Mu Chunxue had agreed to let Zhuowen accept Moyen Wushang. Zhuowen sighed softly. Moyen Wushang was about to wake up, but he didn't know the whereabouts of Mu Chunxue. He made up his mind. Once the matter of the alchemy array Dao domain was settled, he would go to the old site of the Heavenly Armor planet in the Monster Territory. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.